Chapter 228. Wolf King was infuriated. How dare he treat me like air? Howl. It howled like a wolf and used the 7 kill steps. It charged towards Xiaofan ferociously. Whoosh. However, Xiaofan dodged the attack with ease. So fast. Qin Feiyang's eyelids twitched. He almost missed Xiaofan's movement when he dodged the attack. Ling Yunfei's eyes darkened. Xiaofan was not an ordinary man. Wolf King was also surprised. He turned around and looked at Xiaofan. Do you know why I have been silent? I didn't even say a word when you insulted my father. Because I don't want to talk nonsense. I want to prove with my actions that you so-called geniuses of the county of Yan are ridiculous. Xiaofan didn't look at Wolf King. He looked at Qin Feiyang and said contemptuously. The first prince and the others frowned. I'm really angry. Wolf King was furious. He dashed forward and whipped Xiaofan's face with his tail. Slap. Xiaofan blocked the attack and his tail hit his hand. You are too weak. He shook his head. A cold light flashed in his eyes. He grabbed Xiaofan's tail and lifted it up. The Wolf King howled and immediately flew off the ground. Then, Xiaofan threw Xiaofan down again. Bang! The Wolf King smashed into the ground, creating a crater. He is so powerful. Qin Feiyang's eyes narrowed. This man was at least a 5-star martial grandmaster. Jiang Zhengyi, Jia He, and ancestral patriarch Lin were worried. Pan Wang and Xia Qianqian were smiling brightly. This man was the real genius of the county of Pan. Cheng Ming and the others were not worth mentioning in front of him. Xiaofan finally looked at Wolf King. He was still holding Xiaofan's tail. I heard from Qianqian that you used this tail to slap her face in the city of Yan. Then, he lifted Wolf King and smashed him to the ground. Bang! The pit on the ground deepened, and Wolf King's head was also bleeding from the impact. I believe that with your personality, you won't admit defeat of your own accord. So, you better be prepared, because I will make you wish you were dead. Xiaofan held his head high and puffed out his chest, looking indifferent. Bang! Bang! As his hands rose and fell, Wolf King was slammed into the ground. In less than 10 breaths, the surrounding ground was completely unrecognizable. Wolf King seemed to be bathed in blood. The shattered ground was dyed red. Feng Ling Er walked to Qin Feiyang's side and said in a low voice, "This can't go on. Hurry up and make it admit defeat." Luo Qingzhu was also very worried. She nodded and said, "Now is not the time to be loyal. Although Xiaofan is strong, Sister Ling Er is not weaker than him. I know it. It won't sit still and wait for death." Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. Although Wolf King's character was fierce, it was not stubborn at all. If there was really no other way, it would have already admitted defeat. Since it didn't admit defeat, it meant that it must be planning something. Qin Feiyang, go buy a coffin and prepare to collect the body of that beast. At this time, Xia Qianqian's sharp and mean voice came into Qin Feiyang's ears. Qin Feiyang looked up and smiled. Do you have one? If you do, give me one. Xia Qianqian said playfully, if you really want it, I will be a good person and ask someone to buy one for you. Princess, I am buying coffins. Do you want me to give him one? In the crowd, a middle-aged man laughed. Okay, give it to him. Xia Qianqian smiled. That middle-aged man really ran to the high platform, took out a mahogany coffin from his chinquan bag and placed it in front of Qin Feiyang. Thank you. Qin Feiyang cupped his hands. Thank you. The middle-aged man was stunned. He turned around and walked down the platform while shaking his head. This guy must have been scared out of his wits by the prince's strength. The surrounding crowd also began to mock him, giving him a coffin and thanking him. What an idiot. Bang! Xiaofan threw the coffin casually. He threw Wolf King out as if he was throwing garbage. It smashed into the ground dozens of meters away. Blood instantly dyed the place red. Is this all you've got? Xiaofan walked over step by step. He was not in a hurry and his face was still calm. It seemed that in his eyes, killing Wolf King was as easy as stepping on an ant. Hee. Wolf King opened its mouth. Its dark eyes showed no weakness at all. Instead, it was full of disdain. It stood up stubbornly. Its body was covered in blood. It turned around and looked at Xiaofan. Is this all you can do? Xiaofan stopped and looked at Wolf King. He pursed his lips and nodded. It's interesting that you can still stand up. He took a step forward and landed in front of Wolf King in the blink of an eye. He kicked the Wolf King's body. Bang! Wolf King flew out again and hit the ground. But then, it got up and laughed. You're too weak. Xiaofan raised his eyebrows. He had said the same thing before. Now, this beast was saying the same thing to him. And it could even laugh? He did not know why, but he felt a little scared. This wolf's behavior was too strange. No. I have to kill it quickly. He muttered to himself. Although Wolf King did not have the strength to fight back, a deep sense of uneasiness quickly enveloped his heart. Like an arrow, he shot out explosively. His palm was full of dazzling true qi. A terrifying destructive power, like a tide, crazily rolled out. Qin Feiyang, make it admit defeat. Jiang Zhengyi's heart skipped a beat. He hurried to persuade Qin Feiyang. Howl! All of a sudden, a loud and clear wolf howl rushed into everyone's ears. Everyone's heart skipped a beat. Because this wolf howl was full of energy and contained a terrifying murderous aura. Wasn't it injured? How could its howl be so powerful? Boom! The next moment, the Wolf King's ferocious aura surged like a volcano erupting. Thank you so much. Thank you for giving Brother Wolf time. At the same time, a ferocious voice rang in Xiaofan's mind. Xiaofan, who had rushed to Wolf King, was shocked. He hurriedly hit Wolf King with his palm. The strength of this palm was enough to crack a mountain. Wolf King used the 7 kill steps and dodged to the side. He whipped his blood-stained tail. Bang! Xiaofan's thigh was cut open. Blood splattered everywhere. The heart-wrenching pain caused his face to contort and turn pale. At this moment, the Wolf King's soaring aura came to an abrupt halt. The injuries on his body were quickly healing. His huge body grew even bigger. He was now 4 meters long. He looked extremely ferocious. It's breaking through now? Everyone's expression froze at this moment. Qin Feiyang and Ling Yunfei looked at each other and smiled. Not to mention that this fellow did not break through. As long as he broke through, his strength would soar by several times. Xiaofan was destined to be its meal. Xia Qianqian's face turned pale. She hurriedly said, "Brother, don't panic. Even if it breaks through now, it's still no match for you." That's right. What am I worried about? With my strength, auxiliary and perfect martial arts, I can easily crush it. Thinking of this, Xiaofan regained his composure. If you think so, you're wrong. Qin Feiyang said in a low voice. Jiang Zhengyi and the others looked at him in surprise. Wolf King stood on the ground and said contemptuously, "Little worm, go lie down in the coffin. I'll give you a quick death." Boom! An aura rushed out of Xiaofan's body. 5-star Martial Grandmaster. Jiang Zhengyi frowned. However, Wolf King did not take it to heart. He sighed and said, "Looks like you're the same as Bitch Xia. You won't behave until you're beaten." "Who is Bitch Xia?" Everyone was confused. "She's his sister, Xia Qianqian." Qin Feiyang reminded him kindly. "Brother, destroy it." Xia Qianqian shouted angrily. "Your brother can't do that." The Wolf King chuckled. "Die." Xiaofan's eyes were filled with murderous intent. He performed an auxiliary martial art and landed in front of Wolf King in a flash. This time, he did not hold back. He was completely annoyed by Wolf King's arrogance. He used a perfect martial art to attack. Whoosh! Wolf King moved his limbs and used the 7 kill steps. He disappeared from Xiaofan's sight in a flash. So fast. Xiaofan's pupils constricted and he could no longer stay calm. Then, he felt a strong sense of danger coming from behind. He turned around decisively and slapped without hesitation. Wolf King was really behind him. But in the next moment, Wolf King disappeared in front of him again. The 7 kill steps had brought his speed to an unprecedented extreme. How could this be? Does he have an auxiliary martial art technique? Xiaofan's eyes widened in disbelief. However, even if he had an auxiliary martial art technique, he could not be so fast. He was a 5-star martial grandmaster. With the help of an auxiliary martial art technique, his speed was comparable to that of an 8-star martial grandmaster. While he was in a daze, Wolf King jumped up and stepped on his right shoulder. Crack! The sound of bones breaking suddenly resounded. Xiaofan's right arm was broken with just 1 step. Everyone was dumbfounded. This beast's strength was going to defy the heavens. "Ah!" Xiaofan screamed. The shock in his heart was getting stronger. He personally felt how powerful Wolf King's kick was. It was much more powerful than his perfect martial art technique. What the hell was going on? Is it the 7 kill steps? Pan Wang suddenly stood up, his face full of surprise. "Little worm, despair." Wolf King used the 7 kill steps, leaving a shadow behind. Xiaofan could not see his real body at all. Slap! Suddenly, a tail came close to Xiaofan's face. Half of his face was smashed into a bloody mess. The severe pain made Xiaofan cry out in pain. Slap! Before he came to his senses, Wolf King's tail hit his buttocks again. His buttocks were also smashed and bleeding. Xiaofan suddenly stood up and covered his buttocks. He was in so much pain that he jumped and screamed. Yes, it's the 7 kill steps. It's only been 10 days. How could he have mastered it to the point of perfection? But even with the 7 kill steps, he can't be so powerful. Pan Wang was in disbelief. "Little worm, Brother Wolf not only slapped Bitch Xia's face, but also you. What can you do to him?" Chapter 229. Bastard, I'm going to skin you alive. Xiaofan was so angry that he rushed to Wolf King while enduring the pain. He clenched his fists and punched at Wolf King angrily. Wolf King ran away. His 2 legs were strong and strong. "Little worm, come and catch me if you can. If you catch me, I'll skin you alive." While running, he looked back and provoked. His comical appearance amused Feng Ling, and the other girls, who were trembling with laughter. "Bastard, don't run. Trash, come and catch me if you dare." The Wolf King happily ran in front of them. Xiaofan was chasing him angrily. A man and a wolf were running in circles on the high platform. The crowd looked at each other. What was going on? A battle should be like a battle. How could they run around like this? However, Pan Wang and the other people on the stage looked gloomy. Even the other 3 tycoons. Because Wolf King was obviously teasing Xiaofan. Pan Wang shouted, "Xiaofan, admit defeat." If he didn't stop him, he would lose his face and his life. But Xiaofan turned a deaf ear. In his eyes, there was only Wolf King. He hated this abominable beast to the bone. He would never stop until he killed him. Ha! Listen to me and admit defeat. You can't catch up with your grandpa Wolf. The Wolf King laughed sinisterly. If he is Xiaofan's grandpa, then he is Pan Wang's father. So you are the descendants of wolves? Jiang Zhengyi looked at Pan Wang seriously and asked. Jia He and the others burst out laughing. Although this beast was hateful, its current behavior was indeed likable. However, they wanted to ask, is this the time to be funny? This is a competition. Can't you be serious? Pan Wang was angered by Jiang Zhengyi's question. He roared, "Qin Feiyang, if it dares to speak rudely again, don't blame me for being impolite." Qin Feiyang said, "Compared to Wolf King's nonsense, don't you think your despicable actions are more shameful?" Pooh! Pan Wang was so angry that he spat out a mouthful of blood. Qin Feiyang said with concern, "Senior, you must take care of your body. If you accidentally kick the bucket, Pan County will lose one of its major characteristics." Specialty? Everyone looked at him in confusion. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, "Isn't his shamelessness one of Pan County's characteristics?" Pooh! Pan Wang spat out another mouthful of blood. He angrily pointed at Qin Feiyang and said while gasping for breath, you. I'm just telling the truth." Qin Feiyang glanced at him indifferently. Everyone's face twitched. It seemed that Pan Wang would be angered to death today. "Bastard!" King Pan roared furiously. His voice was as loud as a bell, shaking the sky. Wolf King and Xiaofan were both startled. They stopped and looked at him in confusion. Die. Soon. Xiaofan came to his senses and attacked Wolf King again. "I've had enough fun. It's time to send this guy to hell." Wolf King muttered in his heart. He suddenly turned around and used the 7 kill steps to attack Xiaofan. "Xiaofan, no." The white-haired old man suddenly stood up. Everyone's eyes fell on the man and the wolf again. Xiaofan turned a deaf ear. He had lost his mind and couldn't listen at all. The man and the wolf met. Xiaofan didn't hold back. He threw out his left hand and punched at Wolf King. His eyes were full of killing intent. Ow! At the same time, Wolf King also howled and jumped up. He stepped on Xiaofan's fist and then on his head. Crack! Xiaofan's fist and head exploded one after another. Blood spurted out a few meters high. The sky and the earth were dyed red. When Wolf King fell to the ground, Xiaofan also fell to the ground and died on the spot. Brother. Your Highness. Pan Wang, Xia Qianqian and the guards around them screamed hysterically. Qin Feiyang hit the coffin with his palm. The coffin slid quickly and stopped not far away from Wolf King. Then, Qin Feiyang took a few steps and landed beside Xiaofan. He grabbed his ankle and threw him into the coffin as if he was throwing garbage. "Actually, I prepared this coffin for him. I'll give it to you for free." Qin Feiyang kicked the coffin and it slid to the front of Pan Wang and Xia Qianqian. Pan Wang stared at the body in the coffin. He felt like his heart was being stabbed by a knife. Not only was Xiaofan his son, but he was also his pride and hope. He had become a 5-star martial grandmaster before the age of 20. His future was limitless. He might even be able to enter the state capital and make a name for himself there. When that time came, his status would also rise. But all of this was in vain. Suddenly, he looked up and stared at Qin Feiyang and Wolf King. His eyes were bloodshot and he said word by word, "If I don't kill you, I'm not a man." As these words were spoken, the temperature in the area plummeted. It was as if winter had arrived, and countless people began to panic. "What? Do you still want to attack us? In the end, you killed him with your own hands. If you didn't make a bet with me, we wouldn't have gotten the 7 kill steps. Without the 7 kill steps, Wolf King wouldn't have been able to kill Xiaofan even if he had broken through. Maybe you don't know that the 7 kill steps is not only an auxiliary martial skill, but also a killing martial skill. You asked for it. Who's to blame?" Qin Feiyang sneered. If Pan Wang hadn't insisted on turning this friendly match into a life-and-death battle, none of this would have happened. Taking a step back. If Cheng Ming had shown mercy and spared the second prince's life, Jiang Zhengyi wouldn't have allowed Wolf King to kill Xiaofan either. "You won't die if you don't ask for it." This sentence wasn't without reason. It was I who killed him. Pan Wang's body trembled when he heard this. He lowered his head and looked at Xiaofan's body in the coffin. Endless resentment, anger, and regret surged in his heart. Puff! In the end, he spat out a mouthful of blood and fainted beside the coffin. "Father," Xia Qianqian squatted on the ground and shook Pan Wang's body. Her pale face was filled with anxiety and panic. The white-haired elder sighed deeply and looked at the 5 guards beside him. "Bring them back to the palace." The 5 guards nodded and walked behind Xia Qianqian. "Princess, let's go back first." Xia Qianqian got up slowly. She looked up and glared at Qin Feiyang and Wolf King with hatred. Without saying a word, she turned around and walked toward the city gate. 4 of the 5 guards carried the coffin and 1 carried Pan Wang on his back. They followed behind Xia Qianqian. The crowd stepped back and made a path for them. Soon, Xia Qianqian and the others disappeared from everyone's sight. Whoosh! The gazes of the crowd fell on the man and the wolf in unison. Their eyes were filled with anger and murderous intent. Wolf King said telepathically, "Little Qin Zi, did you see bitch Xia's eyes? We can't let her live." Qin Feiyang nodded and said with concern, "Can you do it? If you can't, you can go and rest." The Wolf King chuckled. "Don't worry. After breaking through, Brother Wolf is full of vigor and vitality. Okay, you can continue." Qin Feiyang shook his head and laughed. He returned to the camp. As for the countless gazes around them, they ignored them. Next, the Wolf King stood in the middle of the field with an imposing aura. He was like the king of beasts that had descended into the world, looking down on everyone. The remaining people in Pan County didn't even dare to look at its eyes. His heart was filled with panic that couldn't be dispelled. The white-haired old man didn't hurry to draw lots. He whispered to the hall masters of Pan County's Marshal King Hall and Danwang Hall and discussed in a low voice. Jiang Zhengyi glanced at the 3 people and turned to Qin Feiyang. He asked, "Is Wolf King okay?" At first, he was worried that Wolf King was almost beaten to a pulp. Qin Feiyang smiled. "If it says it's okay, then it's okay. It seems that we don't need to fight anymore." Feng Ling Er shook her head regretfully. It swept all the geniuses in Pan County. It's really in the limelight today. Zhao Shuang smiled. Her clear eyes were shining with a strange light. Back then, a man and a wolf struggled to survive in Iron Ox Town. Who would have thought that they would achieve what they had today? There was an old saying, "You can't judge a book by its cover." Jiang Zhengyi seemed to have thought of something. He suddenly asked, "Qin Feiyang, didn't you say that 7 kill steps is not only an auxiliary martial technique, but also a killing martial technique?" Qin Feiyang nodded. The eldest prince and the others couldn't help but gasp. It was the first time they had heard of a perfect martial technique that combined auxiliary and killing martial techniques. Jiang Zhengyi also felt that it was a bit unbelievable. He shook his head and sighed. You guys got a good deal. But you have a grudge with Pan County's king. Be careful in the future. It's not a problem to protect ourselves. Qin Feiyang thought for a moment and said with a faint smile. Jiang Zhengyi said, just don't be careless. Once this battle is over, I'll take you guys back to Yan County. Hearing this, Jia Hei's eyes suddenly flashed. Sigh. At this moment, the three leaders of Pan County let out a long sigh at the same time. Their faces were full of unwillingness. Jiang Zhengyi turned his head and said, Are you guys done? Don't waste our time, okay? The white-haired old man smiled bitterly. He stood up and said loudly, After our discussion, we have unanimously decided that the battle will end here. The winner is Yan County. Those who hadn't fought yet couldn't help but let out a sigh of relief. The crowd below the stage also fell silent. No one objected. Because the outcome was obvious. Even Xiaofan, who was known as the strongest person, was killed by the wolf's claws. How could the others be its match? It was meaningless to continue the battle. You admit defeat just like that? That's so boring. Wolf King complained unhappily. He hadn't had enough fun yet. However, this also proves that I'm too strong and powerful. Those bullshit geniuses are all scared out of their wits. It laughed mischievously and walked toward Qin Feiyang and the others with an air of arrogance. Brother Wolf fought against the heroes and made them tremble in fear. What are you guys doing there? Come and welcome Brother Wolf. Don't be mesmerized by Brother Wolf's handsome face. Wolf King said proudly. Jiang Zhengyi and the others' faces twitched. Feng Ling Er and the other girls couldn't help but roll their eyes. Chapter 230. Wolf King had returned victorious. However, Pan County was utterly defeated. Although there was no need for them to fight, Guo Li and the others were still embarrassed. In the past, they used to be the sun and were looked up to by others. But now, they did not even have the courage to fight. To them, it was a great humiliation. There was also a deep sense of helplessness. How could there be such a powerful wolf in the world? The more they thought about it, the angrier they became. The more they thought about it, the angrier they became. A young man could not hold back and said angrily, without that wolf, the county of Yan would have no chance of winning. Is that so? Feng Ling Er's face turned cold and her aura suddenly burst out. Like a mad tigress, she rushed toward the young man and punched him with the elephant fist. Ah! The man screamed and flew out. He was severely injured and passed out on the spot. Seeing that, Guo Li and the others hurriedly retreated in panic. They could not believe it. The county of Yan was hiding such a powerful elite. 5-star martial grandmaster. The white-haired elder and the other two looked at each other. They could not hide the shock on their faces. They also thought that Wolf King was the most powerful, but they did not expect this girl to be so powerful. They then looked at Qin Feiyang and the others. Were there more powerful young people who did not fight? In fact, they were more interested in Qin Feiyang's strength. However, Qin Feiyang was not as high-profile as Feng Ling Er. They were destined not to know. Feng Ling Er returned to the team. Although she had only fought once, her graceful figure, peerless appearance, and terrifying strength stunned everyone. At this moment, everyone present stopped underestimating the county of Yan. Phew! The white-haired elder let out a long breath and looked at Jiang Zhengyi. According to the agreement of the competition, the county of Pan will give you 100 sets of herbs for the red fire glaze elixir and 20 sets of herbs for the potential elixir. Jiang Zhengyi nodded, but the corners of his mouth pursed into a playful smile. Qin Feiyang also had a strange look in his eyes. The white-haired elder said, I know all the herbs for the red fire glaze elixir, but I know nothing about the herbs for the potential elixir. I've already prepared it. Jiang Zhengyi waved his hand and a list of items flew towards the white-haired elder. His smile was incomparably brilliant. The white-haired elder took the list and looked at Jiang Zhengyi suspiciously. He then lowered his head and carefully looked at the medicinal herbs on the list. The smile on Jiang Zhengyi's face made him feel very uncomfortable. However, he didn't think too much about it. He only thought that Jiang Zhengyi was so happy because he had won the competition. The hall masters of the Martial King Hall and Danwang Hall of Pan County also quickly gathered around. To Pan Jun, the potential pill was just a legend. Now that the list had appeared, they naturally wouldn't miss such a good opportunity. So this is the medicinal ingredient for the potential pill. It actually requires 33 kinds of medicinal herbs. This is really unheard of. Where did this Qin Feiyang get the pill formula? The three of them had a strange look in their eyes and couldn't come back to their senses for a long time. We're in a hurry, so please hurry up and prepare. With that said, Jiang Zhengyi got up and led Qin Feiyang's group towards the flower brothel. This time, we've lost not only the medicinal herbs, but also the face of Pan County. The white-haired elder sighed deeply and turned around to leave. The palace lords of the Martial King Hall and Pill Emperor Hall exchanged glances as their hearts were filled with helplessness. They then transformed into beams of light and vanished from the sight of the crowd. Guoli and the others were so ashamed that they couldn't show their faces. They lowered their heads and silently left. Treasure Pavilion. Immediately count the medicinal herbs for the potential pill and scarlet fire glass pill in our treasury. As soon as the white-haired elder walked into the VIP room, he handed the inventory to Steward Wang and then half reclined on the chair, rubbing his forehead. He looked quite irritated. Did we lose? Steward Wang took the inventory and asked in disbelief. The white-haired elder nodded. Steward Wang was stunned for a moment, obviously unable to accept the fact. When he came back to his senses, he carefully checked the inventory. 9 suns flower, snow crystal, fire ginseng, these are the medicinal herbs for the potential pill. Looking at the names on the list, Steward Wang gradually fell into a daze. What's wrong? The white-haired elder put down his hand and looked at him in confusion. Pavilion Master, are you sure these are the medicinal herbs for the potential pill? Steward Wang asked carefully. Jiang Zhengyi gave them to me. There shouldn't be any mistake. The white-haired elder said. Steward Wang's body trembled and his face turned pale. Is there a problem? The white-haired elder was puzzled. Steward Wang was usually very calm no matter what he faced. Why did he become so flustered when he saw the inventory? Steward Wang was about to cry. He didn't expect these medicinal herbs to be the medicinal herbs for the potential pill. Hurry up and say it. The white-haired elder said angrily and felt uneasy. Pavilion Master, I'm guilty. Steward Wang's gaze trembled and he lowered his head with a face full of regret and self-blame. Are you going to say it or not? The white-haired old man slammed his palm on the armrest, blowing his beard and glaring. Pavilion Master, these medicinal herbs, Steward Wang didn't dare to say it. He was afraid that the Pavilion Master would be angry if he heard it. But paper couldn't wrap fire. He gritted his teeth and said in one breath, these medicinal herbs have been bought by someone. What? The white-haired elder stood up suddenly, his old face full of anger. He asked, who bought them? It's a man and a woman. Steward Wang recalled carefully. With a wave of his hand, battle chi surged and 2 phantoms appeared in the void. Who are they? The white-haired elder frowned. Steward Wang said, I don't know either. I wanted to find out about their identity but they mentioned the rules of Precious Treasure Pavilion and I couldn't continue to find out. I only know that they are from Haiyun City. Bullshit. The white-haired elder was furious and shouted, even I don't know what the medicinal herbs for the potential pill are? How would the people of Haiyun City know? Steward Wang's heart trembled and he bowed. I'm stupid. Pavilion Master, please punish me. I can't blame you for this. After all, you didn't know either. Those are the medicinal herbs for the potential pill. The white-haired elder waved his hand and returned to his seat. He pondered for a moment. He waved his hand and said, immediately contact the precious treasure pavilions in the major cities and ask them to organize the medicinal herbs and send them all to Panwang City. Yes. Steward Wang responded and quickly walked out of the VIP room. Who exactly is it? Jiang Zhengyi? Or Qin Feiyang? The white-haired elder lowered his head and fell into deep thought. About a few hundred breaths passed. Bang! Steward Wang pushed the door open and rushed in. What happened again? The white-haired elder was shocked and looked up at him with dissatisfaction. Steward Wang said anxiously, just now, I used the image crystal to contact the people in charge of the major cities. They said that all the medicinal herbs in the warehouse were swept clean by someone more than 10 days ago. How could this be? The white-haired elder was dumbfounded. All gone? Who the hell was so ruthless? Steward Wang said, it's a man and a woman. In just 3 days, they visited all the precious treasure pavilions in Panwang City. A man and a woman. It must be them. The white-haired elder was furious. Who? Steward Wang was surprised. The two people around Qin Feiyang. No. With their strength, it's impossible for them to visit all the precious treasure pavilions in 3 days. I understand. The white-haired elder suddenly stood up and said angrily, it must be Qin Feiyang and Jiang Zhengyi working together. Because only Jiang Zhengyi can be so fast. And only they know what the medicinal herbs for the potential pill are. These two despicable and shameless bastards, I'm going to settle the score with them. The white-haired elder was furious and was about to leave after saying that. Steward Wang hurriedly stopped him and shook his head. Pavilion Master, it's meaningless for you to settle the score with them now. This sentence was like a bucket of cold water splashed on the white-haired elder. He, who had almost lost his mind, quickly calmed down. That's right. They bought it with money and did it openly. What could he do if he went to look for them? Maybe Jiang Zhengyi would even take the opportunity to make fun of him. I'll discuss with King Pan and the others. Hurry up and tell the people in charge of the major cities to speed up the search. 20 sets of medicinal herbs for the potential pill must be gathered no matter what. Otherwise, my Pan County will really become a joke. The white-haired old man said and then rushed out of the window. He had been frowning the whole time. Flower brothel. Inside the castle. Fatso was beaming with joy as he told Ling Yunfei about the glorious deeds of these days. After listening to him, Ling Yunfei's face twitched. He shook his head and said, you guys are really ruthless. Not only did they loot the royal treasury, but they also swept away all the medicinal herbs in the major precious treasure pavilions. Were these guys bandits? It was no wonder that Jiang Zhengyi was smiling so brightly outside the city. The medicinal herbs in the various cities were gone. It would be as difficult as ascending to the sky for Pan County to gather 20 sets of medicinal herbs for the potential pill. By the way, do you know how the reward for winning this time is distributed? He looked at Qin Feiyang and the others in confusion. I'm not sure. Qin Feiyang shook his head. Fatso said, Fat Lord heard that Yan Nanshan and the others argued for an entire day in the Great Council Hall. Only they know the specific results. Why don't we ask Jiang Zhengyi? Qin Feiyang said, forget it. We're going back soon anyway. We'll know when the time comes. Do you want to find a chance to get rid of that bitch Xia? Wolf King's eyes flashed with an astonishing murderous light. Lu Hong said, I think it's best not to complicate matters. Fatso said, yes, there are too many people in Pan Wang City who want to kill boss. If we lose our lives here because of Xia Qianqian, it's not worth it. After pondering for a while, Qin Feiyang nodded and said, Lu Hong and Fatso are right. After leaving Pan County, we won't have any more interactions with her. It doesn't matter if we kill her or not. Dong. At this moment, a series of knocks came into the castle. Qin Feiyang appeared in the tea room with a few people and Wolf King. He said lightly, please come in. The door opened, and the eldest prince and the third prince entered the room one after the other. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, Your Highnesses, is there anything I can help you with? The eldest prince said, We're here to thank Wolf King and tell you something. Qin Feiyang stood up and said, There's no need to thank us. After all, we're all from Yan County. I'm sorry for the death of the second prince. The eldest prince forced a smile and turned to the third prince and nodded. The third prince understood and turned to close the door. Seeing this, Qin Feiyang and the others looked at each other, their eyes full of doubts. Chapter 231. Qin Feiyang said, Lu Hong, go and close the window. Lu Hong walked to the window, glanced outside, and closed the window. After a quick glance, she found a few peddlers on the street looking at the window. And on a roof not far away, there were two figures lurking. She turned back to Qin Feiyang and whispered, The people who are watching us haven't left yet. Ignore them. Qin Feiyang waved his hand and looked at the two princes, asking, What do you want to talk about? The first prince whispered, The day before yesterday, when I was chatting with Ancestor Lin, he accidentally said that Jia He often went out alone recently. That's not strange, right? Qin Feiyang frowned. It was Jia He's first time in Pan King City. It was normal for him to go out for a stroll. The first prince said, If that's the case, of course there's no problem. But every time he goes out, he's mysterious and chooses when there's no one around. Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows and asked, Are you sure? The first prince nodded and said, I'm sure. Ancestor Lin saw that his behavior was a little strange. One day, he went to follow him and found that he actually left the city. Left the city? Qin Feiyang frowned. If he was just strolling in the city, there was nothing wrong. But if he went out of the city, it was indeed a little strange. Because he was unfamiliar with the place, why did Jia He go out of the city? The first prince smiled and said, That's all I know. I don't know if it's useful to you. It's very useful. Thank you, Your Highness. Qin Feiyang cupped his hands and smiled. The first prince said, It's fine. I just hope that my good intentions can ease the relationship between us. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, Let's not talk about the past. Today, let's be friends and take care of each other. The first prince was overjoyed and sighed, Brother Qin is really a magnanimous person. I admire you. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly and said, Your Highness' magnanimity is also incomparable to ordinary people. After ruining his wedding and embarrassing him in front of everyone, he still took the initiative to show his goodwill. This kind of behavior was not something an ordinary person could do. After exchanging some pleasantries, the first prince and the third prince took their leave. Qin Feiyang was also lost in thought. Back then, the impostor had entered the Danwang Hall. Right now, Jia He's whereabouts were a mystery. Could it be that the fake patriarch Lin was Jia He in disguise? Was Jia He really from the Blood Slaughter Palace? If that was the case, who was the other person? His head hurt. This matter was intertwined and complicated. But he couldn't find any key clues. He also didn't know how to proceed from there. He looked at Fatso and Lu Hong and said in a low voice, "Now, your main task is to keep an eye on Jia He." "How?" "He's a battle emperor." Fatso's face turned pale. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, "I believe that you will have a way." Fatso rolled his eyes and began to ponder. "I'm going back to my room to cultivate. Call me if you need anything," Ling Yunfei said and strode out of the room. Originally, he had broken through to a 2-star martial grandmaster in such a short time. But after seeing the strength of Xiaofan and Feng Ling, he knew that it was far from enough. Although he was only 16 years old, Feng Ling was almost 19, and Xiaofan was almost 20, he still felt that he was inferior to others. In other words, he was not convinced. Qin Feiyang and Wolf King also entered the state of cultivation. It was a race against time. After a while, Lu Hong asked, "Fatso, have you thought of it?" Fatso rolled his eyes and said with a sneaky smile, "Yes, but you may have to suffer." Lu Hong said, "Just say it." Fatso smiled and said, "Let's change our appearance and apply for a job at the flower brothel." Lu Hong frowned and said, "Is that necessary? Why don't you just change your appearance and watch outside the flower brothel every day?" "No. Jia He is an old fox. After a long time, he will definitely notice. But if we become the flower brothel staff, we don't need to hide anything. We can directly monitor him openly," Fatso said with a sneaky smile. Lu Hong thought for a while and nodded. "It seems to make sense, but the flower brothel may not accept us." Fatso said, "That's easy. Money makes the world go round. As long as you are not afraid of being wronged, we will immediately act." Lu Hong did not think about it and said with a smile, "Well, whatever you say, we will do it." "Boss, we have to go." Fatso said his goodbyes and quickly left with Lu Hong. Wolf King said telepathically, "Little Qin Zi, it was a wise decision to keep Fatso by your side. When we return to the capital, he will be of great help." Qin Feiyang smiled. Although Fatso's talent in martial arts and alchemy wasn't very good, he had a flexible mind. What he lacked was this kind of talent. But Lu Hong still needed to train. Because in a place like the capital, if you don't have a brain, you will only become someone's chess piece. Early the next morning, Pan Jun's 4 super giants put down their face and personally came to the flower brothel to discuss with Jiang Zhengyi. The matter of discussion was nothing more than the herbs for the potential pill. After being swept clean by Jiang Zhengyi and Qin Feiyang, Pan Jun really couldn't gather 20 sets of medicinal ingredients for the potential pill. He wanted to ask if he could change it to something else. But Jiang Zhengyi flatly refused, leaving no room for negotiation. What a joke. What was more precious than the potential pill? After being rebuffed, the 4 super giants were furious and personally led their men to carry out a carpet search of Pan Jun's land. It was better to rely on oneself than on others. They had almost turned Pan County upside down. Half a month passed. They had gathered 15 sets of herbs. But they were still short of 5 sets. The 4 super giants had no choice but to beg Jiang Zhengyi again. After a lot of persuasion, Jiang Zhengyi finally agreed to use 50 sets of red fire glass pills herbs instead. After receiving all the herbs, Jiang Zhengyi informed Qin Feiyang and the others to gather and return to Yen City immediately. Boom! In the room. After half a month of hard work, Qin Feiyang broke through again. He reached the 4-star martial ancestor realm. He was quite excited. At this speed, in less than a year, he would be able to activate his battle soul and step into the Battle King realm. However, he did not immediately go down to gather, as if he was waiting for something. Lobby. Seeing that everyone had already come down except for Qin Feiyang, Jia He could not help but be furious, and said, "Every time he makes people wait, does he really think of himself as someone important?" Although he's not a big shot, his current status in the Yan County is not lower than yours. Ling Yunfei said indifferently. Do you have the right to speak here? Jia He raised his eyebrows. With Pavilion Master Jiang here, you don't have the right to speak. What are you complaining about? Ling Yunfei was fearless as he confronted him. You, Jia He gritted his teeth. My lords, please stop arguing. I will help you call young Master Qin down. Yes, yes, yes. Arguing is too hurtful. A slightly plump shop assistant and an ordinary-looking woman hurriedly ran out from the back hall to smooth things over. Go quickly. Jia He shouted. Yes, yes, yes. The man and woman nodded and bowed as they hurriedly ran to the second floor. Arriving in front of Qin Feiyang's door, the slightly plump shop assistant knocked on the door, then pushed it open and walked in. Jia He is throwing a tantrum downstairs again? Qin Feiyang looked at the two of them and asked. Don't you know what that old thing's like? The slightly plump shop assistant's face was filled with disdain. Next. A man and a woman took out a facial restoration pill, and their appearances quickly changed. If it wasn't Fatso and Lu Hong, who else could it be? Qin Feiyang asked, have you found anything in this half a month? No. Lu Hong shook her head. It was said that during this period of time, Jia He did not leave the house and was extremely obedient. Thank you for your hard work. Go to the castle to rest first. Qin Feiyang waved his hand and sent the two of them into the castle. Immediately. Together with Wolf King, they went out, turned right, and walked down the stairs. They apologized. I was at the critical moment of breaking through, so I was delayed. I'm really sorry. Breakthrough? Jiang Zhengyi and the others were shocked. Feng Ling Er said in surprise, so, you are already a 4-star martial grandmaster? Qin Feiyang nodded. Gasp. Everyone gasped. They shouted in their hearts, abnormal. Feng Ling Er couldn't accept it the most. When she took the supreme grade red fire glaze pill and broke through to 5-star martial grandmaster, Qin Feiyang was only an 8-star martial grandmaster. But how long had it been? He was only one step away from catching up with her. However, everyone present knew that although Qin Feiyang was talented, the biggest reason was that he had opened the second level of the Gate of Potential. So, at this moment, everyone had an unprecedented desire for the potential pill. However, Jia He's old eyes flashed with a fierce light. The others were shocked by Qin Feiyang's cultivation speed and didn't notice, but Qin Feiyang had been secretly watching him, so he clearly saw it. Qin Feiyang couldn't help but be vigilant. As long as this kid is given enough time, he will definitely surpass us old guys in the future. It's really exciting. Jiang Zhengyi muttered secretly. Then he waved his big sleeve, rolled up everyone, turned into a stream of light and rushed out of the flower brothel, then rushed into the sky and flew in the direction of the city gate. They are finally gone. Seeing this, the pedestrians on the street couldn't help but let out a long breath. But just as the group of people flew over the city wall, a loud voice came from behind. Qin Feiyang, wait a moment. An old man, the hall master of the Martial King Hall and the Danwang Hall of Pan County, cut through the sky and quickly caught up. What? Want to snatch people? Seeing the three of them, Jiang Zhengyi's eyes were filled with hostility. If we really wanted to snatch people, we would have done it long ago. The white-haired old man snorted and looked at Qin Feiyang with a smile. Little brother, think about it again. As long as you are willing to stay in Pan County, the three forces will provide you with resources. The hall masters of the Martial King Hall and the Danwang Hall nodded. Jiang Zhengyi frowned. The pupils of the first prince and the others also contracted. The three major forces were jointly providing resources. This kind of treatment was truly a great temptation. As long as Qin Feiyang agreed, his status in Pan County would be even higher than in the Yan County. These three were really willing to pay a big price. Qin Feiyang pondered for a moment, then cupped his hands and said with a smile, although there's an old saying, man walks to the top while water flows to the bottom, but in Junior's opinion, one cannot forget one's roots. So, Junior can only apologize and thank seniors for their great kindness. Jiang Zhengyi's furrowed brows immediately relaxed. He waved his hand and disappeared into the sky with Qin Feiyang and the others. The three super lords were disappointed. Chapter 232. After the white-haired old man and the other two left, another golden figure came to the sky above the city gate. It was the muscular man in golden armor. Even if I have to chase you to the county of Yan, I will kill you. His eyes flashed with an astonishing cold light. Whoosh! Immediately, he turned into a divine rainbow and broke through the sky. At the same time, above the palace, King Pan stood against the wind, looking in the direction of the city gate. The hatred of my son's death is irreconcilable. Commander, don't let me down. He muttered in a low voice, his face almost twisted out of shape. Half an hour passed. Two streams of light entered the Swallow Pan mountain range one after the other. Jiang Zhengyi smiled and said, although most of the people didn't fight this time, the overall performance was very good. When we return to the county of Yan, we will reward you handsomely. The group of people suddenly became excited. This reward would definitely be a potential pill. It's too early to be happy. Jia He muttered in his heart, a cold light flashing across his eyes. Seeing this, Qin Feiyang couldn't help but feel a chill in his heart. At this point, he was already 100% sure that Jia He had it. Qin Feiyang said secretly, White-eyed wolf, use your mind to tell Jiang Zhengyi to be wary of Jia He. Wolf King glanced at Jia He without leaving a trace and said, Old Jiang, be careful of Jia He. Little Qin Zi said that he has evil intentions. Jiang Zhengyi, who was at the front, raised his eyebrows slightly. He didn't say anything and continued to move forward. Although there was no evidence, he still listened to Qin Feiyang's advice. After all, one had to be vigilant. 3 days later, the group was about to enter the central area of the Swallow Pan mountain range. The strength of the fierce beasts below was comparable to that of a martial ancestor. There were even some fierce beasts that were comparable to the War King. If Qin Feiyang and the others entered the mountain range below alone, they would definitely die. Therefore, although there were 3 war emperors, the group of young people couldn't help but feel a little nervous. And at this point, the cold light in Jia He's eyes became more and more shocking. However, each time, it was just a flash. If one didn't pay special attention, they wouldn't be able to detect it at all. At this moment, the scorching sun was high in the sky. Another half an hour later, a towering mountain peak entered the line of sight of the group. Jiang Zhengyi, how have you been since we last met? Just as the group was about to fly past the huge peak, a sinister laugh came from the top of the mountain. This voice, its Xiaofan, Jiang Zhengyi's expression suddenly changed. Qin Feiyang and the others also turned pale with fright. Whoosh! A black shadow swooped down from the peak of the mountain and stood in front of everyone. Who else could it be but Xiaofan? That pair of oily green eyes seemed to contain a terrifying magical power that could suck in a person's mind. Everyone present felt a chill run down their spines. Jiang Zhengyi shielded everyone behind him and said gloomily, Why are you here? Of course it's for him. Xiaofan looked at Qin Feiyang and said with a sinister smile, Boy, I've thought about it for a long time and I've decided to agree to your proposal last time. Qin Feiyang said in a deep voice, I won't wait for you if you're late. Don't be so unreasonable. You have the skill of alchemy and I have extraordinary strength. If we work together, what's there to worry about? As long as you agree, I'll give you the nether devil flame. Furthermore, as for those people around you, I guarantee that I will let them go. But if you don't know what's good for you, then don't blame me for being ruthless. Zuan laughed sinisterly. Arrogant. Jia He shouted angrily and landed beside Jiang Zhengyi. He said to Zuan, "Who do you think you are? How dare you snatch people in front of us?" Qin Feiyang frowned. When did Jia He become so kind? Something's not right. Qin Feiyang's pupils suddenly shrank. He found that Jia He's hand was slowly moving without leaving a trace. Oh no, he's going to plot against Jiang Zhengyi. Wolf King secretly shouted and reminded him with telepathy, "Pavilion Master, be careful." At the same time, Jia He's palm surged with battle chi and slapped toward Jiang Zhengyi's back. A cruel smile crawled up his old face. However, he thought it was flawless. But he didn't know that it had been exposed. Humph! Jiang Zhengyi snorted coldly. His big hand reached out like lightning. He grabbed Jia He's wrist and abruptly turned his head to look at Jia He. His eyes shone with intense cold light as he said, "You really do harbor evil intentions." Jia He was stunned. The smile on his face froze in an instant and was replaced by disbelief. Luo Qingzhu, Ling Yunfei, and the others were also caught off guard by this sudden scene. Jia He actually plotted against Jiang Zhengyi? What was going on? At the same time, on the opposite side, Zuan's eyes couldn't help but sink. Pavilion Master Jiang, this is a misunderstanding. I'm accumulating power to kill Zuan when he least expects it. After Jia He came back to his senses, he hurriedly explained. You? Zuan's eyes were full of disdain. Even an ant can move an elephant. Why are you so arrogant? Jia He shouted angrily with a stern expression. Stop acting, you guys. Jiang Zhengyi sneered and looked at Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang has already seen through your true colors. At first, I didn't believe it, but I didn't expect it to be true. This little bastard, he really deserves to die. A monstrous anger rose in Jia He's heart. But the expression on his face was panic. He shook his head and said, Pavilion Master Jiang, this is really a misunderstanding. Qin Feiyang made up such a lie because he hates me. At this moment, Patriarch Lin stepped in front of Jiang Zhengyi and said, Pavilion Master Jiang, although Elder Jia is a little narrow-minded, he definitely doesn't have the guts to collude with Zuan. Perhaps this is really just a misunderstanding. Jia He nodded repeatedly and said, that's right, that's right. Zuan is extremely vicious and evil. Everyone has the right to kill him. How can I collude with him? Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows. With Patriarch Lin's eyesight, it was impossible for him not to see that Jia He wanted to assassinate Jiang Zhengyi. But why did he speak up for Jia He now? Patriarch Lin said again, this is not a child's play. Pavilion Master Jiang, please think twice. But before his voice died away, he suddenly stretched out his arm, the battle chi in his palm surging, and slammed his palm towards Jiang Zhengyi's chest. At the same time, Jia He also smiled ferociously. He raised his other arm and blasted towards Jiang Zhengyi's head. Moreover, Zuan, who had been indifferent, also charged towards Jiang Zhengyi at lightning speed. Pavilion Master, be careful. Qin Feiyang's expression changed abruptly. He rushed forward without hesitation. His left hand turned into an eagle's claw and grabbed Patriarch Lin's wrist. However, he had just grabbed it. That terrifying battle chi instantly shattered his arm and sent him flying. The intense pain caused his face to contort and he could not help but let out a painful scream. But his heart was filled with disbelief. Why was Patriarch Lin colluding with Zuan? All of this Everything happened in the blink of an eye. No one had expected such a scene to occur, including Jiang Zhengyi. He was stunned at first, but when he heard Qin Feiyang scream, a terrifying aura suddenly erupted like a volcano. But it was still a step too late. Just at the moment when he was stunned, Jia He punched his temple. Old Ancestor Lin also slammed a palm on his chest. The battle chi directly shattered his clothes, the skin on his chest was torn open, and flesh and blood splattered everywhere. His temple was also badly mutilated, his head was buzzing, and he was dizzy. Then Zuoan also attacked. He slammed his palm on Jiang Zhengyi's back. The battle chi was like an arrow, piercing through Jiang Zhengyi's body. A bloody hole the size of a fist appeared in the middle of his body. Father! Pavilion Master! Luo Qingzhu, Ling Yunfei, and the others shouted. Their faces were as pale as paper. What was going on? Why was Patriarch Lin colluding with Zuoan? Jia He and Patriarch Lin's strength were too weak compared to Jiang Zhengyi's. They could not cause fatal injuries to him. But Zuoan was an 8-star combat emperor, and it was a sneak attack. This attack almost took his life. However, Jiang Zhengyi did not even make a sound. His eyes were gloomy. He did not fight with the three of them. He swept up Wolf King, Luo Qingzhu, and the others, turned into a ray of light, and chased after Qin Feiyang without looking back. Jiang Zhengyi, you are already an arrow at the end of its flight. Let's see where you can escape to. Zuoan grinned and quickly chased after him. The good show is yet to come. Jia He and Patriarch Lin looked at each other, sneered and followed closely. Qin Feiyang could not control his body at all. His consciousness was also being swallowed by the darkness. In fact, he couldn't even think about it. In front of him, there was a giant mountain that was thousands of feet high. If he crashed into it, he would definitely die today. But at this moment, Jiang Zhengyi caught up and grabbed Qin Feiyang's right arm, shouting, "Qin Feiyang, you can't faint now, wake up." His voice was like a bell, drilling into Qin Feiyang's ears. Qin Feiyang quivered and quickly woke up. When he saw the bloody hole in Jiang Zhengyi's chest, his face suddenly changed. He did not dare to hesitate at all. He was ready to take everyone to hide in the castle. But the situation changed again. The eldest prince suddenly reached out and grabbed Qin Feiyang. No one knew when, a dagger appeared in his hand, and he quickly placed it on Qin Feiyang's neck, shouting, "If you dare to enter the castle, I will kill you immediately." And, at the same time, Lin Hao also made a move. He hugged Luo Qingzhu, and there was also a dagger in his hand, in front of Luo Qingzhu's throat. He looked at Jiang Zhengyi and said sternly, "Stop, or I will kill her." Zhao Xuan, and the others were surprised. Including Wolf King. 1 or 2 mutations were still acceptable to them. Yet now, one sudden change after another was occurring non-stop. Even Qin Feiyang's mind was in a complete mess. Jiang Zhengyi stopped in the void, and his face became paler. His aura was also rapidly weakening. Swish! Zuoan and the other two caught up and surrounded the group of people in the center. "Jiang Zhengyi, you didn't expect to fall into my hands today, right?" Zuoan laughed sinisterly. Jiang Zhengyi's heart sank. His gaze swept over Zuoan, Jia He, and old ancestor Lin one by one. Finally, his gaze stopped on the eldest prince and Lin Hao. The eldest prince smiled and said, "Pavilion Master Jiang, I'm sorry, all of this was forced by Qin Feiyang. I actually didn't want to do this." Jiang Zhengyi said gloomily, "Your father has also joined forces with Zuoan?" The eldest prince shook his head and said, No, my father doesn't know about this. Even my third brother only knows about it now." The third prince, Wei Tai, trembled and said, "Eldest brother, why did you do this? Do you know that if my father knows that you have joined Zuoan, the consequences will be very serious? Shut up. You'll be the first one I kill later. The eldest prince smiled cruelly. Wei Tai's face was pale. Chapter 233. Fine. If you don't mind, why don't you explain to me why Ancestor Lin is Zhua An's accomplice? Who was the impostor that Wolf King and I found? Qin Feiyang asked. It's me. Jia He sneered. It's really you. Qin Feiyang's eyes widened in confusion. But why did you pretend to be him? The reason is simple. I wanted to frame Ancestor Lin. You caught Shen Chong alive and learned from him that 2 combat emperors had joined the Blood Slaughter Palace. When we received the news, we knew that you would be able to find us step by step. So we came up with a plan. I pretended to be Ancestor Lin and pushed the blame to him. Jia He sneered. Qin Feiyang frowned. Aren't you in cahoots? Why do you want to frame him? Who told you that he's in cahoots with us? He had nothing to do with us before we left the county of Yan. It was in King Pan City that he finally agreed to join the Blood Slaughter Palace after I persuaded him. The first prince was also persuaded by me in King Pan City. Jia He sneered. What? So there's another combat emperor hiding in the county of Yan? Who is he? Qin Feiyang was puzzled. Well, I can't tell you for now. Jia He sneered. It seems that you purposely let Wolf King find out. Were you the one who shot the arrow in the dark that night and killed that middle-aged man right under Elder Ji and my eyes? Qin Feiyang frowned. That's right. I killed him. As for Wolf King, he's been wandering around the county of Yan all day. I could use him. But I didn't expect that you would ask Steward Li to follow me and find out that I entered the Danwang Hall. Not only did the framing plan fail, but it also almost exposed my identity. Since then, I've been on tenterhooks all day long, afraid that you'll catch me. I have to admit, you're really smart. Jia He was full of praise. His praise was sincere. It was the first time in his life that he had met such a terrifying young man. Who? Qin Feiyang let out a long sigh of relief. Even without Jia He's explanation, he had already figured it out. On the day that the friendly competition ended, the Crown Prince went to find him and told him that old Ancestor Lin found something wrong with Jia He. Actually, he was trying to distract him so that he would ignore old Ancestor Lin. This way, even if Jia He failed to assassinate Jiang Zhengyi, he still had Patriarch Lin as a backup. He raised his head to look at Zhuan and asked, "You're the palace master of the Blood Slaughter Palace, right?" "That's right." Zhuan nodded and said, "As long as you're willing to join the Blood Slaughter Palace, not only will I let Jiang Zhengyi and the others go, I'll even make you the young palace master. What do you think?" As soon as Zhuan admitted it, all of this could be explained. The assassination of Fatso and Lu Hong, and the capture of Lin Yi by Shen Chong and Lin Chong, in fact, only had one ultimate goal, which was to target Qin Feiyang. Don't treat me like a 3-year-old child. Even if I join the Blood Slaughter Palace, you won't let them go. Qin Feiyang sneered. You're such a smart fool. I like you more and more. Yes, I won't let Jiang Zhengyi go. But those little beauties beside you, I'll give them all to you as wives. It's normal for a man to have 3 wives and 4 concubines. Zhuan laughed lewdly. Luo Qingzhu and the other women's faces turned cold. Shui Yang's eyes turned, and he bowed to Jia He, "Master, please let this disciple join the Blood Slaughter Palace. This disciple is also willing to serve the Blood Slaughter Palace." "And me." Wang Xia and Xiaofan also knelt in the void. Zhao Shuang said in disgust, "Greedy and afraid of death, how disgusting." The eldest prince smiled, "Miss Shuang, you're wrong. This is called adapting to the circumstances." He then looked at Lin Hua and asked, are you willing to join the Blood Slaughter Palace? Of course. Lin Hua didn't say anything. He knelt to Xuan and said respectfully, this disciple will be loyal. Please take me in, Palace Master. Ha! Xuan laughed proudly, glanced at Lin Hua and Shuiyang, and nodded, well, from now on, you are a member of the Blood Slaughter Palace. Thank you, Palace Master. The few of them bowed respectfully and respectfully. Qin Feiyang's face was as dark as water. Do these people even have any dignity? They are the pride of the county of Yan. How can they be so spineless? Now, only Jiang Zhengyi, Ling Yunfei, Luo Qingzhu, Zhao Shuang, Feng Ling Wolf King, and the third prince, Wei Tai, were left. Wei Tai was also struggling. Qin Feiyang had also noticed. But even if Wei Tai chose to join the Blood Slaughter Palace, he couldn't stop him. He looked at Great Ancestor Lin, the first prince, and Jia He, and said, what did Xuan offer to make you take such a big risk to join the Blood Slaughter Palace? It's none of your business. The first prince sneered. Qin Feiyang said, indeed, it's none of my business. But everything you have done now should have been reported back to the county of Yan. The first prince immediately frowned. Qin Feiyang said, don't forget that Lu Hong and Fatso are in my castle. They can hear everything that happens outside. They have also established a contract with Stewardly. The first prince and the others paled and looked at Xuan for help. Don't panic. Xuan lowered his head and pondered for a moment. Then, he grinned. Qin Feiyang, you are a tough nut to crack. We tried our best to fool you. But if you all die here, we will have the final say when we return to the county of Yan. Good idea. The first prince and the others smiled brightly. By then, they could turn the tables and say that Qin Feiyang and the others framed them. Wei Tai's face paled. He quickly looked at Xuan and said, Palace Lord, I want to join the Blood Slaughter Palace too. Please take me in. Xuan said, you have to ask your elder brother. If he agrees, I will agree. Wei Tai looked at the first prince and begged, Elder brother, for the sake of our brotherhood, please show mercy. Ha! Oh, Wei Tai, don't make it sound so nice. Do you think I don't know that you have always wanted to get rid of me and become the next king of Yan? Do you think I will keep someone like you around? The first prince sneered. The murderous intent in his eyes was undisguised. Wei Tai shuddered. The first prince said coldly, Patriarch Lin, kill him for me. All right. Patriarch Lien smiled coldly. A ray of battle chi flashed past and pierced Wei Tai's head. Wei Tai died on the spot. At this moment. Jiang Zhengyi raised his head to the sky and laughed maniacally. There was a kind of helplessness that came from an ambitious and ruthless person past his prime. Suddenly, his eyes were filled with murderous intent. He waved his hand and several rays of battle chi shot toward Qin Feiyang and the others. Puff! The battle chi was like a cold arrow that mercilessly pierced Qin Feiyang and the others' chests, including Luo Qingzhu. Suddenly, blood splattered across the sky. Ah! The few of them screamed and their pupils dilated. Everything happened so suddenly that even Xuan could not react in time. The first prince and Lin Hao, who were holding Qin Feiyang and Luo Qingzhu hostage, were not spared either. The battle chi pierced through their bodies and left a thumb-sized bloody hole on their shoulder. Both of them were stunned. Was Jiang Zhengyi crazy? He actually killed Qin Feiyang and the others with his own hands? Even his most beloved daughter? They are going to die anyway. Rather than being killed by you, I might as well kill them myself. Xuan, aren't you trying so hard to get Qin Feiyang to refine the potential pill for you? Now that your hope has been shattered, you must be furious, right? Jiang Zhengyi looked at the gloomy Xuan, his eyes filled with madness. Boom! Zuoan was furious. The aura of an 8-star combat emperor burst out from his body. At the same time, Jiang Zhengyi stood up and unleashed his full power. Roar! Behind him, a huge beast shadow appeared. It was a giant golden tiger with a ferocious aura. It was his battle soul. Kill! Jiang Zhengyi pointed a finger at Zuoan. The giant tiger roared and pounced on Zuoan ferociously. How dare you spoil my plan? I will send you to hell now. Zuoan was filled with rage. Hiss! With a sharp hiss, a beast shadow appeared behind him. It was a giant black python. Its cold snake eyes emitted a terrifying green light as it charged towards the giant golden tiger with a ferocious aura. Jia He and Patriarch Lin's expression changed. They hurriedly brought the first prince and the others away. Boom! The two battle souls collided with each other. The giant golden tiger let out a wail and collapsed. Jiang Zhengyi's face turned pale as he spat out a mouthful of blood. Like a meteorite, he shot toward the mountain range below with the bodies of Qin Feiyang and the others. Along with a loud bang, a mountain peak that was a few hundred feet high was smashed into pieces by Jiang Zhengyi. Dust billowed and covered the sky. A giant crater was formed on the ground. Jiang Zhengyi was lying at the bottom of the sky, his body covered in blood. However, Qin Feiyang and the others were lying in the void with a golden battle chi barrier protecting them. Jiang Zhengyi struggled to get up and looked at Luo Qingzhu. A kind smile appeared on his blood-stained face as he whispered, "My child, you must live well." Then he tore off the clothes on his body and used his blood to write shocking words on them. He took off his Qianquan bag and put the clothes into it. Then he stuffed the Qianquan bag into Qin Feiyang's arms. Then he waved his hand and Qin Feiyang and the others fell into the deep pit. He waved his sleeves again and a few pieces of gravel flew over and piled up around Qin Feiyang and the others. Then, the soil rolled and quickly buried Qin Feiyang and the others. The thick smoke blocked Zuoan's vision, so he did not see any of this. In the blink of an eye. After doing all this, Jiang Zhengyi turned into a stream of light and rushed out of the dust alone. He roared angrily, "Zuoan, Jia He, Patriarch Lin, even if I die today, I will kill you and bury you with Qingzhu and the others." He raised his hand and a golden battle chi rushed toward Zuoan and the others like a torrent. At this moment, the sky was dyed golden. "Even the four of you old dogs couldn't do anything to me, let alone you alone." Zuoan smiled disdainfully. He rushed up and fought with Jiang Zhengyi crazily. For a moment, the murderous aura in this place surged into the sky and the sky darkened. Patriarch Lin and Jia He took the eldest prince and the others and retreated again and again. The battle lasted for about 100 breaths. "One day, you will suffer retribution." Jiang Zhengyi roared unwillingly. Zuoan punched him in the chest and he shot into the mountain below like a cannonball. Boom! Chapter 234. The mountains collapsed and the earth was shattered. Jiang Zhengyi did not appear again. Jia He and the others came to Zuoan's side and looked down nervously. Patriarch Lin asked uneasily, "Is he dead?" Zuoan sneered, "He was seriously injured and we ambushed him at the beginning. I punched him in the chest with all my strength. His heart must have been shattered. He's dead for sure." Jia He and the others heaved a long sigh of relief. Zuoan sighed, "But it's a pity that Qin Feiyang is dead. No one can refine the potential pill anymore." The eldest prince said, "That may be the case, but we'll have one less problem as long as he's dead." "You're right. If we wait for him to grow, I'm afraid that even I will be defeated by him. But the treasure he's hiding in is good stuff. Let's go down and look for his body. By the way, Who has the herbs for the potential pill and crimson fire glazed pill that we won from Pan County? Zuoan asked. Jiang Zhengyi. Patriarch Lin said. Zuoan said, all right, you guys go and look for Jiang Zhengyi's body. I'll look for Qin Feiyang's body. Whoosh. However, at this moment, a battle chi appeared out of thin air and pierced through Zuoan's right shoulder at lightning speed. What's going on? They were shocked. Who is it? Get the hell out here. Zuoan looked at the wound on his shoulder in disbelief and roared. Whoosh. Another battle chi appeared and pierced through the sky at lightning speed. It pierced through Zuoan's left shoulder and blood splattered everywhere. That's fast. Zuoan was shocked. He did not even have time to dodge. Who was the expert that attacked him secretly? Let's go. Zuoan waved his hand and swept up Patriarch Lin and the others. They fled in a panic without looking back. At the same time, on the other side of a giant mountain, the brawny man in golden armor was also shocked. He had been hiding here and witnessed the entire process. He was delighted with Qin Feiyang's death. However, he was extremely shocked by the mysterious person who injured Zuoan Swish. Just as he was feeling bewildered, another stream of battle chi appeared out of nowhere and instantly pierced through his arm. Were we discovered? Who is it that possesses such astonishing strength? He didn't dare to stay any longer, and with a head full of doubts, he turned around and fled. This place quickly quieted down. Until the end. A deathly silence ensued. Whoosh! Suddenly, a white figure appeared above the mountain range. He was an old man with mottled white hair. He wore linen clothes and looked extremely ordinary. However, the moment he appeared, the nearby ferocious beasts immediately trembled in fear. He did not say a single word. The aged hand reached out and grabbed at the air. Jiang Zhengyi flew out from the ground and landed in front of the white-haired old man. The current Jiang Zhengyi was riddled with wounds. On his chest, there was a huge bloody hole that penetrated from the front to the back, and blood kept flowing out. His entire body was devoid of aura. He was obviously a dead man. Since you're an upright person, this old man will save your life. The white-haired old man whispered. With a flip of his hand, a red elixir appeared. There was a dragon-shaped elixir on it. After Jiang Zhengyi took the elixir, the bloody hole on his chest began to heal at a speed visible to the naked eye. In less than 10 breaths, a trace of vitality appeared on Jiang Zhengyi's body. Heartbeat and breathing appeared at the same time. He came back from the dead. If Qin Feiyang saw this scene, he would definitely be stunned. This was a real divine elixir. Moreover, in less than 50 breaths, Jiang Zhengyi, who was already dead, opened his eyes again. I'm not dead. Jiang Zhengyi looked around in confusion, his face was full of suspicion. Yes, you're not dead. The white-haired old man smiled faintly. Who are you? Jiang Zhengyi was shocked and hurriedly became vigilant. The white-haired old man said, this old man is Qin Yuan. What? Qin Yuan. Jiang Zhengyi looked at the old man in surprise. He couldn't believe it. Wasn't Qin Yuan Qin Feiyang's uncle? He had always been very curious about this mysterious old man. Now that he saw the real person, the shock he gave him was simply indescribable. He was very clear about his previous situation. He would definitely die. But Qin Yuan forcefully pulled him back from the gates of hell. Who exactly was this person? What shocking background did Qin Feiyang have? Uncle Yuan smiled and said, you don't have to be too grateful to me. I saved you because you and Luo Qianxue treated Feiyang quite well. Jiang Zhengyi was puzzled. You should have been secretly paying attention to Qin Feiyang, but why did you wait until now to come out? Uncle Yuan shook his head and said, this is the path he has to take. I don't want to interfere. Jiang Zhengyi couldn't help but ask, who exactly is Qin Feiyang? It's better if you don't know. Uncle Yuan waved his old hand, and a gust of wind rose. The dust and smoke below quickly dispersed. Shua! With a flash, he landed beside the sinkhole where Qin Feiyang and the others were buried. Following that, with a wave of his hand, the soil and gravel were instantly annihilated. Qin Feiyang and the others were exposed. Jiang Zhengyi landed beside Uncle Yuan and was about to say something. Shoo! Uncle Yuan made a shushing gesture. With a wave of his hand, a supreme force appeared and enveloped Qin Feiyang. What is this for? Jiang Zhengyi was puzzled. I don't want Lu Hong and the others in the castle to hear what we are going to talk about. Uncle Yuan said. Jiang Zhengyi frowned and didn't ask much, explaining, I didn't kill them just now. The battle qi only passed by their hearts and didn't hurt their hearts. They just fainted temporarily. I know. If you really killed Feiyang, do you think you still have a chance to stand here and talk to me? Uncle Yuan smiled faintly, revealing a domineering aura. Jiang Zhengyi smiled bitterly. Uncle Yuan looked at Qin Feiyang, his eyes full of doting, and laughed. You're already 16 years old, and have grown a lot, but it's still far from enough. He gently raised his hand. Ling Yunfei, Feng Ling Er, Zhao Shuang, and Luo Qingzhu flew over and floated in the air. Qin Yuan, what are you doing? Jiang Zhengyi was suspicious. Uncle Yuan didn't answer. With a wave of his hand, the soil once again drowned Qin Feiyang and Wolf King. Seeing this, Jiang Zhengyi was even more puzzled. Feiyang, continue to work hard. Uncle Yuan muttered in a low voice, and then brought Jiang Zhengyi, Ling Yunfei, and the others into the sky. Qin Yuan, you want to keep them? Jiang Zhengyi was surprised. Yes. Uncle Yuan nodded and didn't give any explanation. What's going on? Jiang Zhengyi's mind was in a mess, and suddenly said, can you let Qingzhu stay too? Uncle Yuan stopped in the air, frowned at Jiang Zhengyi, and said, you want to match Feiyang and Luo Qingzhu? Jiang Zhengyi nodded a little awkwardly. Uncle Yuan said, to be honest, although your daughter is talented, she's not worthy of Feiyang. Jiang Zhengyi was very unconvinced. Uncle Yuan said again, but this old man won't interfere in young people's affairs. Let nature take its course. From now on, let Feiyang mistakenly think that all of you are dead. What? Jiang Zhengyi's face changed, and said angrily, he's just a 16-year-old child. Isn't it too cruel for you to do this? It's indeed a little cruel, but if Feiyang can't even bear this blow, how can he face a bigger blow in the future? He's not a child of an ordinary family. His life is destined to be full of ups and downs. In the future, there will be a crueler truth waiting for him. Uncle Yuan said meaningfully, then brought the few people, and disappeared without a trace like lightning. A man and a wolf quietly lay on the ground. If someone encountered them, they would definitely think that these were two corpses. For a period of time in the future, no beast would dare to set foot in this area. 3 days later. King Pan's palace. The throne room had been rebuilt. King Pan sat on the dragon throne, quietly listening to the brawny man in golden armor. After listening to the story, he immediately clapped and laughed, that little bastard is finally dead. I can finally vent my anger. The brawny man in golden armor was also full of smiles. Suddenly, he frowned again and asked, should we investigate that mysterious elite and that person called Zuoan? King Pan waved his hand and said, no need. This is the county of Yan's business. As long as Qin Feiyang is dead, all of this has nothing to do with us. Besides, I'm happy to see the county of Yan in turmoil. The brawny man in golden armor nodded, and the corner of his mouth pursed into a cold smile. Another 2 days passed. In the sky above a dense forest outside Yen City. The first prince said worriedly, "Senior Zhua, do you think that mysterious elite has something to do with Qin Feiyang and the others?" Zuoan pondered for a moment and shook his head. "According to my guess, that person is probably just passing by. Otherwise, he would have killed us instead of just scaring us away." "That's true." The first prince nodded. Ancestral Patriarch Lin frowned and said, "If Jiang Zhengyi dies like this, the state government will definitely send people to investigate. I'm afraid we won't be able to explain it by then." "That's easy." Zuoan took out an illusion pill and changed into Jiang Zhengyi's appearance. "I was worried about not being able to enter Yen City. Now, I can openly stay in Yen City." "Great. This way, even if Fatso and Lu Hong have spread the truth to Yen City, we can easily bite them back." The first prince laughed. "That's not the point. The point is that the treasure pavilion in the county of Yen will be under my control in the future." Zuoan also laughed. "This is a good trick, but you have to be careful in front of Luo Qianxue. Don't expose yourself." Ancestral Patriarch Lin warned. "Let's just get rid of Luo Qianxue." Jia Hei's eyes flashed with murderous intent. Zuoan shook his head. "We can't kill her. If something goes wrong, we'll all be finished. Actually, don't worry. Luo Qianxue and Jiang Zhengyi don't have a good relationship. I won't see her in the future." "Then let's go." Ancestral Patriarch Lin smiled. "Let's go. In less than 10 years, the county of Yen will be under our control." "Ha!" Zuoan laughed maniacally as he led his men into Yen City brazenly. Soon, a sensational piece of news spread like wildfire in Yen City. Qin Feiyang, Luo Qingzhu, Zhao Shuang, Feng Ling Ling Yunfei, and the third prince Wei Tai colluded with each other to steal the herbs of the potential pill and the red fire glass pill. Jiang Zhengyi had already executed them on the spot in the Yen Pan mountain range. However, Chapter 235. Swallow Pan Mountain Range. Late at night. The full moon hung in the sky, and moonlight spread out. It made this mountain range seem as if it was covered in a layer of silver. Everything seemed hazy and hazy. Suddenly, a hand stretched out from the soil. That hand was as pale as paper. At first glance, it looked like the hand of a dead person. After a few breaths, another head popped up from the soil. It was the face of a youth. It was also deathly pale, but there was a determination between his brows that his peers did not have. If someone was here, they would definitely think that it was a zombie. It was Qin Feiyang. He took in big breaths of fresh air. At the same time, through the moonlight, he scanned his surroundings, his eyes full of surprise. "I'm actually not dead?" After a long time, he muttered to himself and crawled out of the soil. Without his left hand, it was very difficult for him to crawl. This is still the Swallow Pan mountain range. But why am I not dead? Qin Feiyang furrowed his brows and looked inside his body. So that's how it is, Jiang Zhengyi didn't kill me. When he saw the wound next to his heart, he suddenly came to a realization. That's not right. Jiang Zhengyi didn't kill me, so he definitely didn't kill Wolf King and the others. He was refreshed and hurriedly swallowed a healing pill. Then, he used his true qi to throw away the soil under his feet. Wolf King quickly entered his line of sight. "White-eyed wolf," he shouted and squatted beside Wolf King. He reached out and pressed his hand on its lower abdomen. Sure enough, there was a heartbeat. After dragging Wolf King out and giving it a top-grade healing pill, Qin Feiyang began to dig again. But after half an hour, he still couldn't find Ling Yunfei and the others. Where are they? He sat on the ground, and a terrifying thought crawled into his mind. Could it be that they were already smashed into pieces? He grabbed Wolf King and entered the castle. "Boss, are you okay? Do you know how we spent the past 5 days?" Fatso and Lu Hong immediately surrounded him and looked at him with concern. 5 days ago, they really wanted to go out and help, but they couldn't think of a way to leave the castle even after racking their brains. They could only watch helplessly and anxiously. Every minute and second of these 5 days was torture for them. 5 days have already passed. Qin Feiyang was stunned. He shook his head and said, "It's okay. It's just an arm." Lu Hong said angrily, "You call losing your arm fine?" Qin Feiyang said, "I'm really fine. 5 days ago, after I fainted, did you hear anything? We heard Jiang Zhengyi say to let Luo Qingzhu live well. Then, I heard the sound of soil rolling. In the end, we could only faintly hear the sounds of battle. After a while, the outside world fell into a dead silence." Fatso said. The sound of rolling soil. Qin Feiyang pondered for a moment and said, "As expected, Jiang Zhengyi seemed to be killing us on the surface, but he was actually protecting us." He appeared in the sinkhole with Fatso and Lu Hong and said, "Since Jiang Zhengyi said to let Luo Qingzhu live well, then she should be here too. Quickly help find her." The two of them immediately began to search carefully. "Senior Jiang, are you still alive?" Qin Feiyang looked at the full moon and muttered to himself, his body exuding an unresolvable sadness. He knew very well in his heart. The chances of Jiang Zhengyi being alive were too slim. Suddenly, he felt something in his arms. When he reached out to take a look, his body and mind trembled. He could tell at a glance that this was not his Qianquan bag. He hurriedly checked. The next moment, he took out a blood-stained shirt. "This is Jiang Zhengyi's shirt." Qin Feiyang's gaze trembled. On it, he saw a few words in blood. He squatted on the ground and spread out the shirt. Under the hazy moonlight, he looked carefully. "Feiyang, when you wake up, I have already died at the hands of Zuoan. In this life, I have no regrets. There is only one, Qingzhu and Qianxue. I hope that you can help me take care of the mother and daughter. The treasures in the Qianquan bag will be your reward." These were the words that Jiang Zhengyi left for him. Qin Feiyang sat on the ground, looking at the bloody words. Tears couldn't help but fall from the corners of his eyes. His face, because of the pain, had been distorted. After a while, Fatso and Lu Hong walked over. When they saw the bloody words on the shirt, they also felt sad. "Have you found it?" Qin Feiyang asked in a hoarse voice. "No." The two of them shook their heads. "Continue to search, expand the range, you must find it," Qin Feiyang said. "Okay." The two of them nodded and scattered to search. But after half an hour, they still found nothing. Fatso said, "Boss, although it's hard for you to accept, I still have to say that Ling Yunfei and Luo Qingzhu are very likely to have been impossible. Jiang Zhengyi will definitely put us together. If they were eaten by the beasts, Wolf King and I will not be spared. What's more, there are no traces of the beasts around here." Qin Feiyang suddenly got up and roared in a low voice. Lu Hong suggested, "Let's wait for Brother Wolf to wake up and let it smell. Maybe it will find some clues." After Qin Feiyang calmed down, he led the two of them into the castle. Wolf King still showed no signs of waking up. Lu Hong said worriedly, "What about your lost arm?" Qin Feiyang said, "The rebirth elixir can regrow an arm. It's just that I don't have the recipe for the rebirth elixir yet. But it's definitely in the elixir mantra, so don't worry." Fatso said, "Didn't Jiang Zhengyi give you his Qianquan bag? Maybe there are rebirth elixirs in his Qianquan bag. Let Fat Lord look for it." Qin Feiyang nodded and tossed the Qianquan bag to Fatso. Fatso and Lu Hong quickly tidied it up. Qin Feiyang looked at the bloody clothes in his hands. The intense killing intent in his heart was like a torrent that crazily attacked his rationality. Fortunately, his willpower was strong enough. If it was anyone else, they would have been bedeviled long ago. Strange, why are there only some low-level elixirs in the Qianquan bag? Fatso suddenly asked in bewilderment. That's normal. Although Jiang Zhengyi is the chief pavilion master of the Yan County and controls the precious treasure pavilions of all the cities, he is an upright person and would not stuff his own pockets. I'm afraid that the high-level elixirs are all in the vault of the precious treasure pavilions. Qin Feiyang said. That's true. Fatso nodded and continued, however, the potential elixir herbs that Jiang Zhengyi swept in the Pan County and the herbs that won the competition are all in there. There should be a few 100 million gold coins. Qin Feiyang was not most concerned about the herbs and gold coins right now. Instead, he was most concerned about the safety of Ling Yunfei and the others. Fatso put away the Qianquan bag and said, Lu Hong and I have already recorded down Jia He and the others' conversation. Should we contact Yan Nanshan and the others now? Record. Qin Feiyang's eyes lit up. Fatso chuckled. After following you for so long, we know this common sense. Well done. Qin Feiyang patted him on the shoulder and took out the image crystal, infusing his true qi into it. Instantly, the image crystal shone brightly. At the same time, the Martial King Palace of the Yan County. In Yan Nanshan's courtyard. Hall Master, even if you beat me to death, I don't believe that Qin Feiyang would do such a thing. There must be something fishy about this. Elder Wan's angry voice came from the attic. In front of the tea table in the living room of the attic. Yan Nanshan and the beautiful woman were sitting on the chairs, their faces gloomy. Elder Wan was pacing back and forth beside the tea table, his old face full of anger. Yan Nanshan said angrily, Old Wan, can you stop for a moment? How can I stop? You actually said that Qin Feiyang and the others wanted to take those herbs for themselves. Is that possible? Elder Wan said angrily. We don't believe it either, but Jiang Zhengyi said it himself. Jiang Zhengyi has always been impartial. Since he said so, then it must be true. Yan Nanshan and the beautiful woman said one after another. Buzz. At this time, Elder Wan's image crystal suddenly reacted. Who sent a message at this time? Don't you know that I'm very annoyed now? He frowned and took out the image crystal. An illusionary figure swiftly appeared. When they saw the shadow, the three giants suddenly stood up with ecstasy in their eyes. Because the shadow was Qin Feiyang. At the same time, in the castle, Qin Feiyang looked at the three and asked, Hall Master, two elders, is there anyone else with you? The three shook their heads. Qin Feiyang, what's going on? Why did Jiang Zhengyi say that you wanted to take those herbs for yourself? What's wrong with your arm? The three hurriedly asked. What? Jiang Zhengyi has returned to Yan City? Qin Feiyang was very surprised. Fatso and Lu Hong also had a look of disbelief. Elder Wan said, yes, not long ago, Jia He and the first prince also came back. That's not right. Why would Jiang Zhengyi go back? And with Jia He and the others? Qin Feiyang lowered his head and his mind was in a mess. A moment later, he raised his head and looked at Yan Nanshan and the others, asking, what did you guys say about taking the herbs for yourself? Elder Wan said, it was Jiang Zhengyi who said it. He said that you and Luo Qingzhu wanted to embezzle the medicinal herbs we won this time, but he discovered it. So, he put righteousness before family and killed you and Luo Qingzhu. Yan Nanshan said, he also said that you destroyed those herbs. Is that true? Elder Ji chimed in, quickly tell us honestly, did you do that? Do you have those medicinal herbs with you now? Qin Feiyang closed his eyes and calmed himself down. He slowly thought about it. Yan Nanshan and the others did not rush him either. A few dozen breaths later, Qin Feiyang's body shuddered and his eyes sprang open. Two brilliant glows burst out from his eyes. He looked at the three of them once more and nodded. The herbs are indeed with me. What? The three of them were startled and slumped in their seats. So, Jiang Zhengyi was telling the truth. Qin Feiyang continued, but Jiang Zhengyi gave them to me personally. Hall Master, elders, you must be mentally prepared for what I'm going to say next. The three of them exchanged glances, their eyes filled with doubt. Yan Nanshan said, "Go on." Qin Feiyang said, "The real Jiang Zhengyi has been killed. If I'm not wrong, the current Jiang Zhengyi in Yen City must be Zuoan in disguise. That was because Zuoan's strength was similar to Jiang Zhengyi's. Only by impersonating him would he not be discovered." The three of them stood up in unison and looked at Qin Feiyang in disbelief. "It's like this," Qin Feiyang narrated the situation from 5 days ago in detail. Thereafter. Chapter 236. Damn those bastards. They're insane. I'm going to kill them now and take Zuoan down. Yan Nanshan was furious. "Palace Master, please calm down." Elder Wan and Elder Ji held him back. This was a serious matter and they needed to think about it carefully. If it was just Qin Feiyang's words, he would not believe it. It was too unbelievable. Jiang Zhengyi was Zuoan in disguise. Jia He, Patriarch Lin, and the first prince had all joined the blood-slaying palace. Any one of these things could cause a huge commotion. But people would lie, but the image crystal would never lie. Qin Feiyang said, "Palace Master, the two elders are right. We can't rush this matter." Yan Nanshan said angrily, "Then what should we do? Are we just going to watch them do whatever they want in Yen City? I suspect that they're plotting something big. If we attack them now, we'll alert them. Most importantly, there's a combat emperor hiding in the dark. If we don't find him, there'll be endless trouble." Qin Feiyang said solemnly. "Yes, we have to find this person first. Palace Master, you must hold it in. Even if we attack, we have to lure Zuoan out of the city first. Otherwise, the people of Yen City will all die in our battle." Elder Wan and Elder Nan said. "Jiang Zhengyi has been a righteous person all his life, but he was harmed by these bastards. How despicable!" Yan Nanshan cried. Among the leaders of Yen City, Yan Nanshan had the best relationship with Jiang Zhengyi. When he heard the bad news about Jiang Zhengyi, he could not control his anger. Fortunately, Elder Ji and Elder Li were there to persuade him, allowing him to quickly calm down. Phew. Taking a few deep breaths, Yan Nanshan looked at Qin Feiyang and said, "Don't go anywhere. I'll come and get you now." "No." Qin Feiyang waved his hand and said, "Palace Master, you can't leave Yen City. Otherwise, Zuoan will take the opportunity to attack the Martial Imperial Hall." Yan Nanshan frowned and said, "Then should I send Elder Wan and Elder Ji?" "That won't do either. The ferocious beasts in the central region are too powerful." Back then, even Jiang Zhengyi trembled with fear. "It's too dangerous for the two elders to come here." Qin Feiyang shook his head. "Then what should we do?" Yan Nanshan and the others frowned. "Don't worry, Elder. I'm confident that I can make it back to the county of Yen safely. Remember, don't ask the first prince and the others. The first prince and the others have just joined the Blood Slaughter Palace, so they definitely don't know who the other war emperor is." Qin Feiyang said. The three of them nodded. They all knew this. Qin Feiyang said, "There is one more thing. This disciple is somewhat worried about Luo Qianxue and Lu Ji. I hope that Palace Master and the two elders can protect them well." Lu Ji was Ling Yunfei's mother. The beautiful woman smiled and said, "Don't worry, we will make the appropriate arrangements. You have to be careful too. We will wait for your return." Qin Feiyang felt warmth in his heart. No matter what the result was, at least the three of them did not choose to believe Zhua An's slanderous words immediately. This was the great trust they had in him. Elder Wan asked, "Should we tell Steward Li about this?" Qin Feiyang said, "Steward Li is experienced and wise. We can tell him and let him help us investigate. But the others, including Prince Yan and Ma Cheng, cannot be told." He asked again, "Palace Master, you know the war emperors in the county of Yan very well. Who do you think is most likely to join the blood slaughter palace?" After a moment of silence, Yan Nanshan shook his head and said, "This is not a child's play. I dare not make any wild guesses lest it disturbs everyone's judgment." Qin Feiyang nodded. This was a very responsible attitude. However, with Jia He and Patriarch Lin's exposure, the list of possible targets had been greatly reduced. Yan Nanshan, Elder Wan and Steward Li could be excluded. That left only Ma Cheng, Elder He, Prince Yan and the Grand Commander of the royal family. Qin Feiyang and the three of them discussed for a while and turned off the image crystal. Lu Hong was puzzled. "Why don't you ask the people from the state capital to help? Even if the people from the state capital come, they might not be able to find out who the other war emperor is. If we don't remove the roots when cutting the weeds, they will grow again when the spring breeze blows. Anyway, in Zhua An's eyes, the boss is already dead. They will show their tail sooner or later. We just have to wait quietly. But Fat Lord is really looking forward to their expressions when they see us return alive." Fatso sneered. "Whoa." All of a sudden, a wolf howl sounded. Wolf King jumped up and scanned the surroundings. His eyes were shining with a terrifying ferocity. Qin Feiyang said, "It's over. Don't worry." "It's over?" Wolf King was stunned. He lay on the ground weakly and said coldly, "That damn bastard. Brother Wolf will kick his balls sooner or later. Let's not talk about this first. Come out with me and find Ling Yunfei and the others." Qin Feiyang waved his hand and appeared outside with two people and a wolf. "They're not dead?" Wolf King was surprised. "Jiang Zhengyi didn't kill us. He just seriously injured us and put us in a coma so that we could escape from Zhua An's claws. But when I woke up, I only found you. I didn't see Ling Yunfei and the others." Qin Feiyang looked worried. Wolf King didn't ask any more questions and sniffed carefully. A moment later, it entered the sinkhole and its eyes lit up. "There's the smell of blood here. It should be here." "No. We've looked for it," Fatso and Lu Hong said. Qin Feiyang also said, "We've been buried here for the past 5 days." Wolf King sniffed again and shook his head. "Their smell is very faint. It's almost impossible to detect. There are only 2 possibilities. Either they've left or they're dead." "Left? Impossible, because they can't leave us alone. It's even more impossible that they're dead. If they're dead, at least their bodies are still here. What's more, Fatso and Lu Hong didn't hear anything in the castle." Qin Feiyang frowned and was quite annoyed. "That's strange." Wolf King's eyes were full of doubts. 5 days had passed, and most of the smell had dissipated. It was not realistic to find any clues. Lu Hong said, "Why don't we split up again?" Fatso said, "Boss, if we can't find them, Fat Lord, I hope you can accept this fact." Qin Feiyang nodded. Gradually, the sky was white, and the morning sun gradually rose. The 3 men and 1 wolf turned the area upside down. In the end, they still found nothing. Qin Feiyang stood at the top of a big tree, looking down, his eyes dead. Fatso, Lu Hong, and Wolf King stood below, looking at Qin Feiyang with a worried face. Although there were many doubts, there was only one explanation: if they couldn't find anyone or their bodies, Ling Yunfei and others were probably dead. After an unknown amount of time, Qin Feiyang jumped down from the tree and landed steadily on the ground. There was no anger or killing intent on his face, nor any heroic words. He looked extremely calm. But the more calm he was, the more worried Fatso, Lu Hong, and Wolf King were. "Boss, are you okay?" Fatso asked cautiously. "I'm fine." Qin Feiyang shook his head. His tone was also so calm, without the slightest hint of sadness. "Are you really okay?" Fatso asked. "I'm really okay." Qin Feiyang shook his head helplessly and said with a faint smile, "Let's go." After that. Thus, he took the lead and walked forward. Fatso hurriedly said, "Boss, you." Lu Hong reached out to stop him. "Don't ask. If you continue to ask, the disguise on his face will be torn apart by you. Since he wants to pretend to be free and easy, we might as well help him. Maybe this will make him feel better." Lu Hong sighed. Fatso and Wolf King nodded. 2 people and 1 wolf followed silently. Roar. Chirp. Not long after, they came to a small hillside. In front of them was an endless primitive forest. The roars of various ferocious beasts filled every place, causing people to be intimidated at first glance. "You guys wait here," Qin Feiyang said without looking back. Then, he rushed into the wild forest. Roar. A leopard-shaped beast rushed out, opened its bloody mouth, revealing white fangs, and pounced towards Qin Feiyang. Rushing thunder kill fist. Qin Feiyang roared and sent the ferocious beast flying with a punch. Crack. The beast broke a big tree as thick as a thigh and smashed into a hard bluestone, dying on the spot. Qin Feiyang used the shifting smoke steps, like a human-shaped tyrannosaurus. He rushed into the depths of the forest. All kinds of beasts pounced out. Moreover, they were basically all martial ancestor-level beasts. Qin Feiyang's face was cold as he crazily fought with them. All kinds of perfect martial skills were performed to perfection. True Qi, traversing the sky. Blood, dyeing the ground red. Fatso sighed, "Boss must be feeling very uncomfortable." Lu Hong said, "There doesn't seem to be any War King level beasts nearby, let him vent." The War King level beasts had been scared to the point of fleeing as early as 5 days ago. So, relatively speaking, this place was still very safe. Just like that, Qin Feiyang fought until noon. His entire body was covered in wounds and dripping with blood. Bang! Finally, he collapsed from exhaustion. Lying on the ground, he gasped for breath. Aoo! Wolf King let out a wolf howl, and its ferocious might spread in all directions. The ferocious beasts that were surrounding Qin Feiyang immediately dispersed. 2 men and a wolf ran over. Wolf King grinned, "Are you comfortable now?" Qin Feiyang did not make a sound. He looked at the sky in a daze. After a long time, he got up, took a highest-grade healing pill, and looked at the vast forest, his eyes shining. Finally, he made a shocking decision and roared in high spirits, "Let's kill our way back to Yan County." "Kill our way back? Are you courting death?" Fatso was so scared that he trembled, his face instantly pale. Was this guy crazy? Not to mention the War Emperor level beasts in the central area. Even if they only met 1 War King level beast, they would only be tortured. This is a good opportunity to gain experience. All of you, get your spirits up. Qin Feiyang laughed out loud, and took the lead to run forward. "Huh, brother likes it." Wolf King laughed wildly, let out a loud and clear wolf howl, and chased after him with a fierce aura. "Wait for us." Fatso and Lu Hong hurriedly chased after him. Following these two devil incarnate who were not afraid of death, they were also filled with helplessness. Actually, this was the reason why Qin Feiyang did not let Elder Wan and Elder Ji pick him up. Chapter 237. Half a month later. On the top of a mountain that was more than 100 feet tall, 3 people and a wolf stood side by side. They were all covered in wounds. Half a month of life and death experience had made Qin Feiyang's fighting instinct more and more amazing. Although he only had one arm left, his methods were sharper than before. Moreover, just a moment ago, his cultivation had made another breakthrough. He had stepped into the 5-star martial ancestor realm. Fatso and Lu Hong were already numb. It was really infuriating to compare oneself to others. They were helpless when they met this abnormal person. However, they also had a good harvest. In half a month, although it was basically Qin Feiyang and Wolf King who were the main attackers, and they helped from the side, they slowly developed a fighting awareness. It wouldn't be long before they could have fighting instincts. Fighting awareness and fighting instinct were not the same concept. Fighting awareness represented rich experience in actual combat. When facing opponents of the same level, the chances of winning were higher. Fighting instinct referred to the reflexes of the limbs. When fighting, one didn't need to think at all. The body would make the most correct counterattack at the first moment. Moreover, the two of them had also stepped into the 9-star martial master realm. As for Wolf King, although his cultivation had not improved, his fighting instinct was almost on par with Qin Feiyang. Fatso clenched his hands and said excitedly, "Boss, Fat Lord has been waiting for this moment for a long time." How could he not be excited when he could open the door of potential? As long as the door of potential was opened, his cultivation speed would soar. Although he might not be able to keep up with Qin Feiyang's speed, it was more than enough to surpass those martial arts geniuses. Don't be happy too early. Lu Hong ruthlessly poured a bucket of cold water. It was true that he had broken through to the 9-star martial master realm, but without a war emperor by his side, how could he open the door of potential? I have already thought about this problem. Let's go find the war emperor level beasts in the central area. Let them help. Qin Feiyang laughed. Fatty chuckled and said, "Boss has the foresight after all. Will they help us? Besides, even if they help us, I'm afraid we won't be able to reach the central area." Lu Hong was deeply worried. At this point, the auras of the ferocious beasts he could sense were all unfathomable. Without a doubt. They were all Battle King level beasts. If one wanted to pass through this area and enter the central area, they would have to be able to fly. Even if he flew, he might not be able to fly over. Because there were many ferocious birds that could also fly. Can you have some confidence in me? Qin Feiyang looked at Lu Hong helplessly. Why does this little girl always like to pour cold water on me? Next. He sent Fatso and Lu Hong into the castle. Then, he and Wolf King sneaked toward the central area. That was right. They were sneaking into the central area. Although he was bold, he knew his own limits. Facing a combat king-level savage beast, it was impossible for him to win. Wolf King's nose was very sharp. He could smell the scent of a beast in advance. If they encountered powerful existences, they would take a detour. Or he could hide in the castle and waste time with the other party. As such, along the way, there were no mishaps. 5 days later. Wolf King followed the aura and brought Qin Feiyang to the foot of a giant mountain. Wolf King looked around sneakily and didn't find any ferocious beasts. He secretly breathed a sigh of relief. Little Qin Zi, there is a very terrifying aura on the top of the mountain. Are you ready? Qin Feiyang nodded. One man and one wolf immediately set off and climbed toward the top of the mountain. On the way, they didn't encounter a single ferocious beast. There wasn't even a single bug. There was dead silence. From this, Qin Feiyang judged that the ferocious beast above must be a beast emperor. Because other ferocious beasts didn't dare to step into the beast emperor's territory. Half an hour passed. One man and one wolf finally climbed to the top of the mountain. As far as the eye could see, ancient trees towered into the sky, green weeds were extremely dense, and wild flowers were blooming, exuding an intoxicating fragrance. It was quiet and peaceful here. However, one man and one wolf's hearts were in their throats. Because dozens of meters away, there was a huge black round stone with a surface as smooth as a mirror. And on the round stone, there was a ferocious bird lying on its stomach. Its shape was like a falcon, but its head was like a lion's. Its head was more than 10 meters long, and its black feathers were like pieces of silk, flowing with layers of gorgeous brilliance. Lion-headed eagle. Qin Feiyang swallowed his saliva and spat out the name with difficulty. Lion-headed eagle, with the body of an eagle and the head of a lion, was extremely ferocious. Qin Feiyang didn't expect to meet such a terrible guy. The lion-headed eagle also opened its eyes and looked at the man and the wolf as if it saw a plate of delicious food. Its eyes were shining brightly. Sorry to disturb you. We'll leave immediately. Qin Feiyang waved his hand, winked at Wolf King, and hurriedly slipped away. Whoosh! But just as they turned around, a strong wind blew on the mountain peak. The lion-headed eagle spread its wings and stood in front of the man and the wolf. Wouldn't it be a waste not to eat the food delivered to my door? The lion-headed eagle smiled cruelly. You dare to eat me? Believe it or not, I'll destroy you. The Wolf King stood up like a human and shouted at the lion-head eagle. Qin Feiyang's face twitched. This ruffian wolf still didn't understand the situation. Who was going to destroy who now? The lion-headed eagle looked at Wolf King strangely and said playfully, Do you know my strength? Wolf King said arrogantly, Bastard, I don't care what your strength is. I'll give you a chance. Be my little follower, and I'll spare your life. Qin Feiyang was stunned. Where did this guy get the courage to be so arrogant in front of an emperor-level beast? To tell you the truth, I'm a peerless wolf god. I just sealed my cultivation and came to the mortal world to gain experience, so don't provoke me. Otherwise, I'll fry and braise you. Wolf King looked like a fraud as he boasted. Not to mention, he really had the aura of an overlord. You're courting death. The lion-headed eagle was furious. A terrifying aura rushed towards the man and the wolf. Obviously. It didn't believe Wolf King's nonsense. If it was really a peerless wolf god, why would it sneak up? If you want to brag, you have to look at who the target is. Qin Feiyang grabbed Wolf King and hid in the castle without hesitation. Wolf King sighed, It seems that my overlord aura is not enough. It needs to be tempered. Overlord aura? It should be the aura of a king. Qin Feiyang rolled his eyes. Outside. The lion-headed eagle was surprised. A moment ago, it was still in its line of sight. How did it disappear into thin air? Could it be that it had misjudged and was really a peerless wolf god? Shua. Qin Feiyang appeared out of thin air once again, and hurriedly cupped his hands. Senior, we came here without any ill intentions, we just want to ask you for a small favor. The lion-headed eagle mocked, Do you think this emperor is such a kind-hearted person? Human? Qin Feiyang was startled, and simply went along with the lion-headed eagle's intentions, and laughed, Senior is an otherworldly expert, you definitely won't help small fries like us. That's right. The lion-headed eagle opened its mouth and said, Quickly come into this emperor's mouth. Only a ghost would go into your mouth. Qin Feiyang muttered, his face twitching non-stop. After all, it was a war emperor-level beast, could it not be so humorous? You don't know what's good for you. The lion-headed eagle's gaze turned cold and became extremely sharp. Boom! The terrifying might once again enveloped Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang was filled with helplessness, and could only hide in the castle once again. Fatso said with a face of disappointment, "Looks like it won't help us, quickly think of a way to leave this place. It's easy to come in, but difficult to get out." Qin Feiyang shook his head. He lowered his head and pondered for a moment. His eyes suddenly lit up, and he appeared outside once again. Seeing Qin Feiyang come and go without a trace, the murderous light in the lion-headed eagle's eyes dissipated and was replaced by curiosity, and said, "You human, are quite interesting." Qin Feiyang said, "Senior, as long as you agree to help, other than letting me into your mouth, you can give me any conditions." The lion-headed eagle was stunned, and asked, "Are you sure it's any condition?" Qin Feiyang nodded. The lion-headed eagle's eyes flickered, as if it was thinking about something. A moment passed. It suddenly said, "All right, you have to promise this emperor to go to the ruins. Not only will this emperor promise to help you, but I will also send you out of the Swallow Pan mountain range." The ruins. Hearing these 4 words, Qin Feiyang's body and mind trembled, and his face turned somewhat pale. Seeing his reaction, the lion-headed eagle asked in surprise, "You also know about the ruins?" "I've heard of it, but I've never been there. It's said to be a place of exile." Qin Feiyang frowned. The lion-headed eagle said, "A small martial sect actually knows about that kind of place, how unbelievable." Qin Feiyang shook his head, "Senior, you should change your condition. It's easy to enter that place, but difficult to leave. I don't want to take the risk. That's the only condition. If you don't agree, you can forget about leaving the Swallow Pan mountain range for the rest of your lives. Don't doubt this emperor's words. As the ruler of the Swallow Pan mountain range, it's easy for this emperor to kill you." The lion-headed eagle turned hostile just like that. It also revealed a very important piece of information. The ruler of the Swallow Pan mountain range. Qin Feiyang even had the heart to die. The first war emperor level beast he met was actually the emperor of the Swallow Pan mountain range. Why wasn't he so lucky normally? Beast Emperor, allow this junior to discuss this. Qin Feiyang cupped his hands and said, then entered the ancient castle. He stared fiercely at Wolf King and roared, "How did you lead the way? You actually barged into the lair of the Swallow Pan mountain range's Beast Emperor, aren't you courting death?" Wolf King was also about to cry. This luck was too heaven-defying. Lu Hong covered her mouth and laughed, then asked Qin Feiyang, "What kind of place is the ruins that makes you so afraid?" Qin Feiyang said in a deep voice, "That place is countless times more terrifying than the Swallow Pan mountain range and the Death Desert." The 2 people and the wolf looked at each other in shock. In their eyes, the Swallow Pan mountain range and the Swallow Pan mountain range were already dangerous places that they couldn't easily step into. And the ruins was actually even more terrifying than these 2 places. Everyone knows that the Great Qin Empire has 9 states and 18 counties, but there are some places that are rarely known. One of them is the ruins. Because not only is the environment of the ruins extremely harsh, life is also very cruel. According to what I know, everyone who lives in the ruins is a criminal who has committed all kinds of evil, and their hands are stained with blood. It wouldn't even be an exaggeration to say that it's a place where people eat people. Chapter 238. Cannibalism. Wolf King, Fatso, and Lu Hong were shocked. The impact of these 3 words was too great. What kind of environment would there be cannibalism? It was really creepy. Fatso frowned and said, "Why didn't the emperor order to eradicate such a place? I heard that the ruins are not in the imperial capital, nor in the state capital. It is located between Bai County and Shi County of the 18 counties." Qin Feiyang explained. The plate of the Great Qin Empire was centered around the imperial capital. The 9 state capitals surrounded the imperial capital. And the 18 counties were like a circle, surrounding the 9 state capitals. The ruins and the 18 counties were side by side, and the area was not smaller than any of them. Although the ruins were full of heinous people, there was a rule that anyone could go in, but once they went in, they could never come out. If anyone dared to sneak out, the only outcome they would face was death. From the beginning of the Great Qin Empire to the present, no one had ever successfully escaped from the ruins. So, whether it was the state capitals or the imperial capital, they did not ask about it. To put it bluntly, this place had been abandoned and left to fend for itself. After listening to this, Fatso firmly shook his head and said, "This damn place, we absolutely can't go." "You really can't go, because your body is too fat, enough for them to eat a full meal," Lu Hong teased. Fatso's face darkened. "I want to go and take a look." Wolf King's eyes rolled around, full of curiosity. Fatso shuddered and hurriedly said, "Master Wolf, calm down, let's think about how to deal with that old devil's woman." Lu Hong sighed and said, "It's not up to us whether we go or not, unless we continue to waste time like this with Lion-Head Eagle. Then let's waste time, let's see who can last longer." Fatty had an indifferent expression on his face. Suddenly, his eyes flashed, and he said with a flattering smile, "Boss, you even know the situation of the Great Qin Empire. Looks like your identity isn't simple." Qin Feiyang rolled his eyes and quickly said, "Actually, when I was young, I also wanted to go to the ruined land, but for some reason, I couldn't do it." "Wait." Fatso's expression changed abruptly, and he hurriedly said, "Boss, you must think twice before you act. That place is equivalent to the 18 levels of hell. We absolutely can't touch it. Look at you. What a disgrace." Wolf King's eyes were filled with contempt. "Fat Lord is so useless. There's nothing I can do about it." Fatso's fearless attitude made Brother Wolf gnash his teeth in anger. "I'm just saying." Qin Feiyang smiled and left the castle, looking for an opportunity to leave the mountain peak. However, the Lion-Head Eagle seemed to know that he was unable to move and had been guarding outside. Seeing Qin Feiyang come out, the Lion-Head Eagle's huge pupils flickered with an astonishing cold light, and said, "How was the discussion?" "I'll tell you clearly, you have to go today even if you don't want to." Qin Feiyang smiled and said, "Senior Beast Emperor, I still have some things to take care of. When I'm done, I'll promise you to go to the ruined land, how about it?" "All right." A hint of playfulness flashed across the Lion-Head Eagle's eyes. "So straightforward?" Qin Feiyang was stunned. He couldn't care so much, he had to slip away first. Without hesitation, he jumped off the mountain peak and ran towards the foot of the mountain. It actually didn't chase after him. When he was halfway up the mountain, Qin Feiyang looked up and saw that the Lion-Head Eagle was indifferent. His face was full of surprise. When did such a ferocious beast become so easy to talk to? But suddenly, the Lion-Head Eagle suddenly let out a roar that spread in all directions. It was like a lion's roar, but also like an eagle's cry. In an instant, the fierce beasts within a radius of dozens of miles turned into a torrent and rushed over. Wherever they passed, the trees were broken, the short mountains collapsed, and they were trampled beyond recognition. They were all War Chief Realm fierce beasts. Moreover, at the same time, there were also more than a dozen terrifying auras that soared into the sky. Following closely, more than a dozen ferocious beasts rushed out from the mountain range and flew through the air like lightning. Fierce beasts that could fly, without a doubt, were all existences of the War Chief Realm. Qin Feiyang slammed on the brakes and stopped beside a big tree. His gaze pierced through the branches and looked towards the sky. His face was immediately filled with shock. With a roar, it surged in all directions. The lion-head eagle was really the emperor of the Swallow-Pan mountain range. This was troublesome. The white-eyed wolf had led him into a pit. Sigh. He let out a long sigh and returned to the peak of the mountain with a heart full of helplessness. Yo, didn't you have something to do? Why are you back? The lion-head eagle had a playful tone. Senior Beast Emperor, you can't play like this. Qin Feiyang glanced at the War Emperor realm fierce beasts that were flying over, and looked at the lion-head eagle with resentment. Then tell me, do you want to go to the ruins? The lion-head eagle said. Qin Feiyang frowned. Can I ask first, why do you want to go to the ruins? The lion-head eagle let out another roar. The beast tide that was surging over from all directions stopped in unison. Qin Feiyang heaved a sigh of relief. Facing so many powerful fierce beasts, he was more or less a little nervous. But then, he was surprised to find that the lion-head eagle's gaze had actually become gentle. It was as if he was immersed in the past. A moment later, its gaze once again became incomparably sharp as it said, "This emperor wants you to save someone." Save someone? I'm only a 5-star martial ancestor realm. Even if I go to the ruins, I might not succeed. Senior, why do you still insist on letting me go? Moreover, there are many people who are stronger than me. Why don't you look for them? Qin Feiyang's face was filled with confusion. With your little strength, you are indeed not up to par. But you have something that others don't have, and that is the treasure that you are hiding in. This emperor doesn't know if you can succeed or not, but this emperor wants to give it a try. Of course, this emperor will not let you run for nothing. If you successfully save her, this emperor will unconditionally promise you a promise. The lion-head eagle said. Qin Feiyang's face froze. Who exactly was the person he wanted to save? Was it worth the lion-head eagle to pay such a price? After a moment of silence, Qin Feiyang asked, "If I say, help me flatten Yan County, do you dare?" The lion-head eagle said, "As long as you can succeed, this emperor will do as you wish. If you don't believe me, this emperor can swear." "I'll go." Qin Feiyang was shocked. One had to know. The destruction of a county was not a child's play. It would directly alarm the imperial capital. At that time, what awaited the lion-head eagle was destruction. As a beast emperor, the lion-head eagle must also know this. Yet, he had actually agreed to it without any hesitation at all. This was incredible. The lion-head eagle sighed. To be honest, the person this emperor wants to save is this emperor's master. This emperor has been separated from her for more than 20 years. Master. Qin Feiyang was shocked once again. After being separated for more than 20 years, if it was a human, this person would have long been forgotten. However, not only did the lion-head eagle but it also wanted to save her. Sure enough. Beasts valued emotions more than humans. But it couldn't rush to its head just because it was moved and run into danger. Qin Feiyang's mind moved. Wolf King, Fatso, and Lu Hong appeared out of thin air. Qin Feiyang briefly explained the situation and asked, "What do you think?" "Go, of course we have to go." Wolf King said without hesitation. Fatso shook its head and said, "We can't go because we don't know if it's true or if it's lying to gain sympathy. Moreover, Fat Lord doesn't dare to believe its promise." The lion-head eagle glared and said angrily, "This emperor swears that if there is half a lie, the heavens will punish me and I will never be reincarnated." Fatso said disdainfully, "Fat Lord swears every day, but I don't see him being punished by the heavens." The lion-head eagle suddenly became anxious. "Fatso, don't be so aggressive." Lu Hong frowned. She looked at Qin Feiyang and said, "On the contrary, I believe that what it said is true. Besides, we don't have a choice right now. Isn't that right?" If you don't go, you will die. Do you want to die? Wolf King looked at Fatso and said. Fatso's neck shrank. Qin Feiyang pondered for a while, then sighed, Lu Hong is right, we really don't have a choice. It can stay here for more than 20 years, we simply can't outlast it. In another 20 years, I'm afraid we will all turn into ashes. Lu Hong smiled bitterly. Qin Feiyang gritted his teeth and said, then let's just take the risk. Anyway, I am also a little curious about the ruins. It's over, they've all gone crazy. Fatso muttered to himself, his face pale. Thank you. The lion-head eagle was overjoyed. The murderous light in its eyes and the murderous aura exuding from its body finally disappeared completely and was replaced by gratitude. Qin Feiyang looked a little helpless. Senior Beast Emperor, although I agreed to go, this place is thousands of miles away from the ruins. The journey is also full of danger. With our strength and speed, I'm afraid we will die on the way before we reach the ruins. Qin Feiyang frowned. It's too simple. The lion-head eagle was full of confidence. Look, what's in the sky? Fatso pointed to the sky. Qin Feiyang and the others looked up. There was nothing. It's cows. The sky is full of cows flying. Fatso rolled his eyes. Obviously, he was mocking the lion-head eagle. Anyway, he didn't want to go. He would rather die here than go to that damn place where people eat people. There was a trace of helplessness in the lion-head eagle's eyes. A light flashed in front of it, and a palm-sized light gate appeared in their sight out of thin air. Teleportation gate. Qin Feiyang's eyes lit up. With the teleportation gate, they could easily reach the ruins. But how could the lion-head eagle have a teleportation gate? Could it be that it had been to the prefecture before? As if seeing Qin Feiyang's doubts, the lion-head eagle said, my master and I used to stay in the prefecture for a period of time. Fatso said, then your master should also have a teleportation gate. Why don't you just let her teleport back directly? Why do you have to go through so much trouble? Qin Feiyang glanced at him and explained, there are some places where you can't use the teleportation gate. The ruins are one of them. You even know this? The lion-head eagle looked at Qin Feiyang in surprise. Where did this human come from? Why did it feel like there was nothing he didn't know? Hearsay. Qin Feiyang vaguely replied and asked, what does your master look like? In front of the lion-head eagle, the battle chi surged, and a beautiful figure quickly condensed. Damn, a beauty. Chapter 239. That beautiful figure was about 1.75 meters tall. Her two slender legs made her look incomparably tall. Her skin was like congealed fat, delicate and tender. Her facial features were exquisite and translucent. Her jade-like big eyes carried a trace of soul-stealing charm. She was a peerless beauty. Any man who saw her would be infatuated and driven crazy. Even Qin Feiyang's eyes were filled with amazement. As for Wolf King, he didn't feel anything at all. Perhaps the standards of beauty of beasts and humans were different. But Lu Hong was a little jealous in her heart. She's beautiful, but this was her appearance from 20 years ago. Who knows what she looks like now? Every woman had a heart that loved beauty. Seeing a beautiful woman, they would naturally feel uncomfortable in their hearts. Lion-headed eagle said, with master's cultivation, there shouldn't be much change. Is she very strong? Fatso was surprised. Aren't you talking nonsense? It's an existence of the War Emperor realm that dominates the Swallow Pan mountain range, let alone its master. Qin Feiyang rolled his eyes at Fatso. Lion-headed eagle said, now tell me, what do you want this emperor to help you with? Fatso and Lu Hong immediately became excited. Qin Feiyang took out 2 potential pills and handed them to Fatso and Lu Hong. He said cautiously, opening the gate of potential is not a child's play. If you can't hold on, you will die on the spot. Are you ready? The two nodded and each took a potential pill. When they saw the pain that Qin Feiyang and Wolf King suffered when they opened the gate of potential in the square outside the palace, they were already mentally prepared. Qin Feiyang looked at the two deeply, turned his head to look at Lion-Headed Eagle, and said, "Senior Beast Emperor, you only need to release your pressure." Lion-Headed Eagle said in surprise, "Wait, you mean, they want to use this Emperor's pressure to open the gate of potential?" Qin Feiyang nodded. Lion-Head Eagle said, "It's impossible to succeed. I advise you to give up." Fatso and Lu Hong looked at each other and directly threw the potential pill into their mouths. Once he consumed the potential pill, there was no turning back. Because if they didn't clench their teeth and persevere, the energy of the potential pill would tear their bodies apart. Qin Feiyang and Wolf King quickly retreated to the side. "Senior, let's start. Even if I fail, I will die with no regrets." Fatso looked at the Lion-Head Eagle and pleaded. Boom! The Lion-Headed Eagle didn't try to persuade him any further. Instead, it unleashed all of its pressure, and it surged toward the two of them. This pressure. Qin Feiyang was greatly shocked. The Lion-Head Eagle's strength was actually not weaker than Yan Nanshan's. It was even stronger. Ah! At the same time, Fatso and Lu Hong screamed with heart-wrenching pain. Blood spurted out from all the pores on his body. In an instant, it was as if they were bathed in blood. It was a tragic sight. Boom! About 10 breaths passed. A muffled explosion sounded from within their bodies at the same time. A dazzling white light bloomed from their chests. "Senior Beast Emperor, quickly retract your aura." Qin Feiyang hurriedly shouted. When the Lion-Headed Eagle retracted its pressure, a man and a wolf quickly ran over. At the same time, Fatso and Lu Hong were lying on the ground, panting heavily. Their faces were filled with fear. Although it was only a short 10 breaths, it felt like a few centuries to them. Qin Feiyang ran to the two of them. Without saying a word, he took out 2 supreme-grade healing pills and fed them to them. "How do you feel?" the Wolf King said with a gloating smile. Lu Hong smiled bitterly. "I feel like I walked through the gates of hell." Fatso said, "If it wasn't for the fact that it can open the door of potential, Fat Lord really wouldn't want to suffer like this." Only now did they understand the pain that Qin Feiyang and Wolf King had faced back then. Wolf King chuckled. "Since it's so painful, then forget about the second level of the door of potential." "No." Fatso and Lu Hong said in unison without hesitation. Qin Feiyang shook his head and laughed. "The pain of opening the second level is several times more intense than the first. Rest well for a few days and be mentally prepared." The two of them nodded. Did it really work? The Lion-Headed Eagle floating at the side was filled with disbelief. Until now, it still couldn't accept this fact. Qin Feiyang stood up and looked at the Lion-Headed Eagle. "Senior Beast Emperor, before going to the ruins, I want to make a trip to King Pan City." "Why are you going to King Pan City? You want to burn the bridge after crossing the river?" The Lion-Headed Eagle's gaze became extremely sharp. It thought that after helping Fatso and Lu Hong break through the warrior realm, Qin Feiyang was going to act shamelessly. Because as long as they reached King Pan City, it couldn't do anything to Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang smiled bitterly. "Senior, you think too much. I'm going to King Pan City purely to buy some herbs." "Herbs?" The Lion-Headed Eagle was stunned and asked, "You're an alchemist?" Qin Feiyang nodded. The Lion-Headed Eagle pondered for a moment and said, "You can go to King Pan City, but I want to go with you. I'm not burning the bridge after crossing the river. Because when they've rested, they still need your help to open the second level of the door of potential. Moreover, you're so big. My hiding treasure can't fit you at all. How can you go with me? Qin Feiyang was helpless. Was he so untrustworthy? You want to open the second level? The lion-headed eagle was shocked, but it sneered. When you enter King Pan City, you can ask other combat emperors for help. Human boy, you really have a good plan. You want me to send you back to King Pan City, and then you get rid of me. You're really smart. Unfortunately, I'm not so easy to fool. The lion-headed eagle's eyes flickered with an astonishing light. Qin Feiyang was a little annoyed. Fine, you can go with us, but the premise is that you can't attract other people's attention. That's simple. The lion-headed eagle shook its body and turned into the size of a palm. It was like an owl flapping its wings. It was less ferocious than before and more docile. It was even a little cute. If they didn't see it with their own eyes, they would never think that it was the Swallow Pan Mountain Range's emperor. What's going on? Wolf King was dumbfounded. He couldn't even speak clearly. Fatso and Qin Feiyang were the same. The ferocious bird that was more than 10 meters long suddenly turned into the size of a palm? What kind of joke was this? Was it a magic trick? Transformation pill. Qin Feiyang spat out the name word by word. What transformation pill? Fatso and Qin Feiyang, as well as Wolf King, looked at him in surprise. Qin Feiyang said, when a beast takes it, it can freely change the size of its body. However, this kind of pill is very rare even in the imperial capital. The state capital must also have it. But it was definitely more precious than the imperial capital. It couldn't even be measured by price. From this, it could be seen that the lion-headed eagle's owner must have an extraordinary background. Fatso and Qin Feiyang, as well as Wolf King, suddenly understood and looked at the lion-headed eagle in surprise. They weren't stupid. From Qin Feiyang's words, they could think of some clues. At the same time, the bewilderment in the lion-headed eagle's heart became more and more uncontrollable. He knew everything. Nothing could be hidden from him. What was the background of this human youth? Qin Feiyang waved his hand and sent Fatso and Qin Feiyang to the castle. He smiled and said, "Senior Beast Emperor, there's no time to lose. Let's set off immediately." The lion-headed eagle returned to its true form and carried Qin Feiyang. Like a bolt of lightning, it flew towards Pan County. The beasts below all prostrated themselves on the ground to send them off. Including the dozen or so War Emperor realm beasts. 4 days later, a one-armed brawny man walked out of a dense forest near Pan Wang City. On his shoulder stood a cute owl. It was Qin Feiyang and the lion-headed eagle. The lion-headed eagle was puzzled. "Human boy, why did you change your appearance?" Qin Feiyang said, "I have offended a lot of people in Pan Wang City. If I show my true appearance, I am afraid that I will be killed before I even enter the city." At the city gate, pedestrians came and went. Qin Feiyang stood beside a small tree, observed for a moment, and gradually frowned. He found that everyone who entered and left Pan Wang City would be checked by the Heaven's Eye Stone. It seemed Pan Wang had not given up on looking for Theta Wang. What's wrong? The lion-headed eagle was puzzled. Qin Feiyang said, "I'm afraid we have to change places and go to Haiyun City." "Do you know the way to Haiyun City?" "I know." The lion-headed eagle nodded and said, "But there is no need to take a detour. This emperor will take you directly in." Before his voice faded, Qin Feiyang only felt his body lighten, and the scenery in front of him retreated like lightning. Almost in the blink of an eye, he appeared in the middle of the crowd on the streets of the city. The crowd around didn't notice that there was an extra person out of thin air. Even if someone noticed, they didn't take it to heart. As for the guards at the city gate, they didn't notice at all. They only felt a light breeze blowing past them. So fast. Qin Feiyang was secretly speechless. If he had such a fast speed and such strong strength, why would he be afraid of Pan Wang and the others? Flower brothel. Qin Feiyang sat in a corner of the lobby, drinking a little wine while listening to the discussions around him. Do you know? Qin Feiyang has died in the Swallow Pan mountain range? How is that possible? Who did you hear it from? My second uncle is a guard of the palace and is responsible for guarding the throne room. He heard the discussion between the commander and Pan Wang with his own ears. A conversation attracted Qin Feiyang's attention. He looked in the direction of the voice. He saw a few young people in their 20s gathered together at the table next to him, whispering. Strange. How did Pan Wang and the commander know that I have died in the Swallow Pan mountain range? Qin Feiyang was puzzled. Could it be that they were also present at that time? He stood up, holding a wine glass, with a smile on his face, and tried to get close to those people. A moment later, he finally found out that it was the Grand Commander who had been tailing them ever since they left Pan County. Pan Wang, Commander, you are courting death. Qin Feiyang's killing intent surged. He originally just wanted to know if anything major had happened in Pan Wang's city in the past few days. But he didn't expect. In the end, he learned such a shocking piece of news. After chatting with those people for a while and seeing that there was no more useful news, Qin Feiyang stood up and left for the treasure pavilion. Chapter 240. Entering the treasure pavilion, Qin Feiyang asked Steward Wang to purchase a large number of medicinal herbs. Basically, they were all useful. Healing pills, bone replenishing pills, qi gathering pills, battle qi pills and so on. Of course. Because the quantity was too large, Steward Wang didn't hesitate to ask about Qin Feiyang's background. But every time, Qin Feiyang easily dealt with him. Moreover, Qin Feiyang also spent a large sum of money to purchase 5 regeneration pills in case he needed them. Next, with the help of the lion-head eagle, Qin Feiyang smoothly left King Pan City and entered the deep mountains, summoning Fatso, Lu Hong and Wolf King. After 4 days of cultivation, Fatso and Lu Hong's essence, qi and spirit had recovered to their peak state. With their unyielding spirit and fearless spirit, they also successfully broke through the martial master realm and opened the second level of the door of potential. Their cultivation speed had already surpassed Wolf King's. After all, Wolf King had only opened the first level. Qin Feiyang also took a regeneration pill. His lost left arm was finally restored to its original state. Fatso and Lu Hong rested for a while, found a pool to wash off the bloodstains on their bodies, and changed into clean clothes. The lion-head eagle opened the portal and went to the ruins. A bottomless abyss lay across the earth, dividing heaven and earth into 2 different worlds. In the abyss, a black storm raged, making ear-piercing whining sounds. Above the abyss, there was an ancient iron chain bridge. The bridge was rusty and exuded an ancient aura. It was only wide enough for one person to walk on. It shook violently under the strong wind, like a swing, making people afraid to step on it. Buzz! In the void above the bridge, a door of light appeared out of thin air. The lion-head eagle brought Qin Feiyang and the others out of the door of light and landed in front of the bridge. What a terrifying storm! Fatso immediately shrank his neck and quickly retreated. The aura emitted by the black storm made him feel like the god of death had arrived. This abyss is called the Black Abyss. It surrounds the entire ruins. The black hurricane in the abyss is strong enough to tear a battle emperor into pieces. This iron chain bridge is the only way to enter the ruins. Lion-head eagle's pupils contracted as he explained in a grave tone. Qin Feiyang was also shocked. The land of ruins, the black abyss, the chain bridge, and the hurricane. He had only heard of them before, but when he came here, he realized that they were even more terrifying than the rumors. He followed the iron chain bridge and looked at the ruins on the other side. However, the ruins were too far away, so he couldn't see them clearly. However, they could see that the sky above the ruins was shrouded in a layer of haze that could not be dispersed, giving off a very deep sense of oppression. Unknowingly, his mood became heavy. Looking at the sky above their heads, there were dark clouds for thousands of miles and the sun was shining brightly. The black abyss seemed to be a dividing line, dividing the world into two halves. This scene was too miraculous and bizarre. "I can't go," Fatso mumbled to himself as his body trembled uncontrollably. "Senior Beast Emperor, there is no black hurricane in the sky. Can we fly directly over it?" Lu Hong asked. She was doing well. She raised her head and looked at the sky in confusion. Although her face was a little pale, at least she wasn't as timid as Fatso. Lion-Head Eagle didn't answer and looked at Qin Feiyang. It wanted to see if this human was really omnipotent and omniscient. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, "It said that the space above the abyss is enveloped by an extremely terrifying gravitational force. Any living being that wants to fly over will fall into the abyss under the pressure of the gravitational force and be mercilessly killed by the storm." Lion-Head Eagle's pupils contracted. It couldn't help but ask, "Who are you?" Qin Feiyang smiled and said, "I'm just an ordinary person." "Who are you trying to fool? How could an ordinary person know this?" Lion-Head Eagle rolled its eyes. Qin Feiyang turned to look at Lion-Head Eagle and said with a smile, "Senior Beast Emperor, lead the way." "I'm not going," Lion-Head Eagle said. Fatso said angrily, "We are going to save your master, but you are hiding and sending us to our deaths. Aren't you too cunning?" Lion-Head Eagle said, "I don't deny that I am indeed selfish. If you don't return in 10 years, I will continue to look for people to enter the ruins." Wolf King said unhappily, "You are quite direct." Lion-Head Eagle didn't care. A black feather fell from its body and floated in front of Qin Feiyang. "I don't know where Master is, but if you meet her, this feather will shine and guide you to find her," Lion-Head Eagle said. Qin Feiyang grabbed the feather and put it into his Qianquan bag. He asked, "Have you looked for others before?" "Yes, but when they came here, they all began to regret. In the end, they were all thrown into the black abyss by me," Lion-Head Eagle said. Fatso's face turned pale. It seemed that he had to go today. Huff. Qin Feiyang took a deep breath. After sending Fatso and Wolf King into the castle, he looked up at the iron chain bridge and walked up without hesitation. Lion-Head Eagle said loudly, "For the next 10 years, I will be waiting for you here. I wish you a triumphant return. Just don't forget your promise." Qin Feiyang said without turning his head and walked towards the opposite side step by step. The iron chain bridge was shaking violently. There was nothing to hold on to on either side. It could be said that it was difficult to move. After walking for only a dozen meters, he almost fell down twice. Huff. Looking at the endless iron chain bridge, Qin Feiyang let out a long breath. He squatted down and firmly grabbed the edges of both sides, moving towards the opposite side bit by bit. A full 10 days passed. Qin Feiyang could finally see the ruins. But what he saw was only the tip of the iceberg. There was no sign of life. It was like a land of death. In the void, there was a thin layer of black mist. Although it didn't affect his vision, it made him feel uncomfortable. And not far from the bridge, there was a dark castle, exuding a mysterious and cold aura. Another half an hour passed. Qin Feiyang finally stepped onto the ground of the ruins. The first feeling was cold. It wasn't the cold weather. It was a kind of gloomy cold as if he was in hell. It made him feel uncomfortable and even a little scared. Involuntarily, Qin Feiyang's pores relaxed and his body and mind entered a state of vigilance. Looking around, it was all desolation. The barren land, the barren mountains, and the barren rivers. It was as if he was the only person in this world. It was completely silent. An inexplicable loneliness and panic emerged uncontrollably and attacked his heart. He hurriedly called Wolf King out to accompany him. As for Fatso and Lu Hong, they had just opened the second level of the Gate of Potential and were busy cultivating. Why is this place so deserted? As soon as Wolf King came out and saw the scenery in front of him, his pupils couldn't help but shrink. Be careful. Qin Feiyang warned and turned around to look behind him. The iron chain bridge was still there, and there was no change. But he had a very real feeling that the iron chain bridge had become different from before. His eyes flickered, and he carefully stepped out with his right foot. As soon as he landed on the iron chain bridge, a terrifying gravity came crashing down. In an instant, his entire right foot was directly crushed by the gravity. Blood splattered in the sky. A heart-wrenching pain swept through his heart like a tide. Qin Feiyang screamed, lost his balance, and fell into the abyss. Damn it! Qin Feiyang was anxious. Seeing that Qin Feiyang was about to fall into the black abyss, Wolf King heard the movement, turned around abruptly, bit his clothes, and pulled back hard. Pucci! His clothes were torn, but Qin Feiyang was also pulled back. Sitting on the ground, he looked at the iron chain bridge in shock, his face pale. What's going on? Wolf King was surprised and walked towards the iron chain bridge. Don't go. Qin Feiyang's face changed. He hurriedly dragged him and said, there is a gravity on the bridge now. My leg was crushed by the gravity. What? Wolf King was frightened and stepped back, his eyes full of horror. Qin Feiyang took out a regeneration pill and swallowed it. While looking at the iron chain bridge, he waited for his right leg to be repaired. Wolf King asked, then, how are we going to go back in the future? Qin Feiyang pondered for a moment and said, let's talk about it later. There will definitely be a way. Fortunately, he had the foresight to prepare a few more regeneration pills. Otherwise, he would have become a cripple now. After his right leg was repaired, Qin Feiyang got up and moved, then turned and walked towards the Black Castle. Wolf King followed closely beside him. In this place, everything was unknown. He could not be careless. After walking for a while, Qin Feiyang frowned and said, the essence of this place is too thin. Wolf King nodded. He finally understood why Qin Feiyang would go to Pan Wang City and buy a large number of medicinal herbs. Because in such a place, if there were no pills, it would be impossible to cultivate. A moment later. Before they arrived at the castle. The castle gate was closed, and a cold aura blew in their faces. Qin Feiyang casually looked around. Suddenly, his whole body was cold, and his eyes were locked on the top of the castle. He saw a black-haired old man standing there. He was skinny and wore a black robe. His hair was disheveled, and his eyes were deep, emitting a gloomy light. He lowered his head and stared at the man and the wolf. At first glance, he looked like a ghost from hell, making Qin Feiyang and Wolf King's scalps go numb. Hee, suddenly. The black-clothed old man jumped down with a terrifying grin and landed on the ground. The man and the wolf tensed up and quickly retreated. The black-clothed old man grinned and said, the environment outside is so good, but you still came to the ruins. You are really stupid. Qin Feiyang stabilized his mind and said helplessly, I have no choice. I have offended too many people. If I don't enter the ruins, I will die. Most of the people in the ruins came here to take refuge because they were being hunted down. But now, they all regret it. They would rather die outside than stay here and suffer, including this old man. It won't be long before you regret it too. The black-clothed old man laughed sinisterly. Since we're here, let's take it easy. Qin Feiyang sighed. In that case, come in with this old man. Chapter 241. The old man in black strode into the castle. Qin Feiyang and Wolf King looked at each other and cautiously followed him in. The castle was extremely dark and filled with a gloomy aura. In the middle of the room, there was a shabby wooden table. On the table, there was also a black dagger. The old man in black walked to the wooden table, grabbed the dagger, and turned to look at the man and the wolf. What do you want to do? Wolf King immediately took a step back, a fierce light flashing in his eyes. Looking at the man and the wolf, the old man in black slowly raised the dagger, put it to his mouth, and licked the blade. He looked like a butcher with a butcher's knife in his hand. Don't be nervous, this is just a rule. Every newcomer has to leave a mark on them. I have one on me too. The old man in black smiled sinisterly and pushed away the messy black hair on his forehead, revealing a forehead full of wrinkles. Qin Feiyang's pupils contracted. In the middle of the old man in black's forehead, there were two small black words. The two words were ruins. The old man in black said, "This is the identity mark of the ruins. If you don't have this mark, it means that you are not recognized by the ruins and everyone will see you as an enemy." Qin Feiyang frowned. Moreover, this dagger is made of special materials. The words engraved on it will never disappear. Unless you cut off the flesh on your forehead. You have no choice because once you step into the ruins, no one can leave. The old man in black laughed sinisterly and did not hide his threat at all. Can we change places? Qin Feiyang frowned. It was too unsightly to engrave it on the forehead. Sure, other than the forehead, you can also engrave it on the left or right face. Anyway, as long as it's on the face. But before that, hand over the Qianquan bag. Otherwise, I won't engrave the mark on you. Soon, you will be cruelly killed or even dismembered. At this moment, the old man in black's eyes were full of greed and his threat was undisguised. A cold light suddenly flashed in the depths of the man and the wolf's eyes. Qin Feiyang said helplessly, "Senior, I also want to give you the Qianquan bag, but my Qianquan bag was accidentally destroyed when I was chased by my enemies. Now, I'm even poorer than you. Hee, little guy, you are very dishonest. This old man has been observing you ever since you set foot on the wasteland. I saw you take out your Qianquan bag and take out an elixir. That elixir should be the regeneration elixir." The old man in black laughed sinisterly. "Bastard, little Qin Z. Find a chance." The Wolf King said telepathically. "You want to know this old man's cultivation and then kill me? Do you think you can escape this calamity?" Qin Feiyang's heart trembled. This old man is too smart. The old man in black said disdainfully, "However, I really don't take you seriously. You two small fries, listen carefully. I am a 5-star martial grandmaster." What? Qin Feiyang and Wolf King were dumbfounded on the spot. A man who looks very powerful is only a 5-star martial grandmaster? Are you kidding? The next moment, Qin Feiyang attacked as expected. The wind thunder palm carried a terrifying wind and hit the old man in black's chest. Puff! The old man in black spat out a mouthful of blood on the spot and flew out. Crack! The wooden table behind him was smashed into pieces in an instant. Then, it hit the wall behind and finally rolled to the ground with a bang. The old man in black was a little confused. His face was pale and he was dizzy. This young man is actually so powerful? He originally thought that a 15 or 16-year-old young man would be at most a martial master. But he never expected that the power of that palm was stronger than his. Then, he flew into a rage out of humiliation and his face was distorted. He looked coldly at Qin Feiyang and said, "You dare to attack me? Damn!" Qin Feiyang landed in front of the black-clothed old man and mercilessly kicked the black-clothed old man's lower abdomen. The old man in black hit the wall and curled up in the corner, wailing. Wolf King ran up and scolded, "A mere 5-star martial grandmaster dares to be so arrogant in front of us. Do you want to die? I'll let you taste the holy water." He laughed sinisterly, lifted his leg and sprayed a pool of urine on the old man in black's face. "Bastard, I'm going to kill you." The old man in black was mad with anger. But before he could get up, Qin Feiyang kicked him again. The old man in black's head hit the wall and immediately saw stars. Blood kept spurting out of his mouth. "Bastard, if I'm still at my peak, I'll kill you like killing dogs." He moaned helplessly, his face full of resentment. "Peak?" The man and the wolf were stunned. Qin Feiyang crossed his arms and asked curiously, "Then tell me, how strong were you at your peak?" "When I first entered the ruins, I was a 9-star martial grandmaster. I thought that no matter how bad the ruins were, there would be no lack of qi-gathering pills. But the lack of resources here is beyond imagination. If you want to get a qi-gathering pill, you have to pay a huge price. After a few decades, not only did my strength not improve at all, it even fell to a 5-star martial artist. I regret that I shouldn't have. If I could have stayed outside, would have been a war king long ago. However, tisk, you will soon follow in my footsteps." The old man in black laughed sinisterly. Hearing these words, the man and the wolf were in disbelief. It seemed that they had underestimated the cruelty and viciousness of this place. "Let me go. I don't want to die yet. I don't want your Qinkuan bag. I won't mention you to a third person." The old man in black suddenly begged. Qin Feiyang asked, "Where is the place with the most people in the ruins?" The old man in black hurriedly said, "Monarch City has the most people." Wolf King said, "What is Monarch City? How far is it from here?" The old man in black said, "Monarch City is the capital of the ruins. With your speed, it will take at least half a year to reach here." "So far?" Qin Feiyang frowned and asked, "Is there a shortcut?" "Yes, there is a city in the south called Wuhu City. All the major clans in the city raise a type of flying beast. Ride them and you will reach Monarch City in half a month at most. What else do you want to know? Ask away. As long as you let me live, I will tell you everything." The old man in black said with a flattering smile. "How long have you been here?" Qin Feiyang asked. The old man in black said, "Almost 30 years. Qin Feiyang's eyes lit up. The owner of the lion-head eagle entered the ruins more than 20 years ago. This person had been here for more than 30 years, so he must have seen this woman. With a wave of his hand, true energy surged, and a beautiful figure quickly condensed. "Have you seen her?" Qin Feiyang asked. The old man in black looked up and nodded. "Yes, I have." "You really have?" Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows. This answer was also fast. It was inevitable that he would be suspected of being perfunctory. "Yes, I have. Although I've been guarding this place for several decades, it's only every few years that someone enters the ruins. So, I have a deep impression of everyone, as if it was yesterday." The old man in black hurriedly said. Qin Feiyang frowned. Thinking about it, who would want to come to this godforsaken place? He asked, "Then where did this woman go? Do you know?" The old man in black said, "I don't know, but at that time, she was also inquiring about places with a lot of people. She might have also gone to the royal city. She is also very strong, at least War King." The royal city. Qin Feiyang pondered for a moment, then turned around and strode out of the castle with Wolf King. He. "Little bastard, you are still too inexperienced. when this old man spreads the news of your appearance, you will have a taste of what it means to live a life worse than death, after a while." The old man in black got up in a sorry state and limped out of the hall. Seeing that the man and the wolf had already disappeared, he laughed maniacally. Swish! However, before he could finish, Qin Feiyang and Wolf King appeared out of thin air again. "How did you?" The old man in black looked at them with a face full of surprise. "Appeared out of thin air? Could they turn invisible?" Qin Feiyang looked at the old man in black coldly and said, "As expected, you can't be soft-hearted at any time. Your Excellency, please spare my life. I was wrong. I was just confused." The old man in black knelt on the ground and begged for mercy. Qin Feiyang didn't say anything and walked toward the old man in black step by step. "Go to hell." When the two were only half a meter apart, the old man in black suddenly burst out. With a cruel smile on his old face, he slapped toward Qin Feiyang. "Humph!" Qin Feiyang snorted coldly. He used the smoke-gathering steps and calmly dodged. Then he raised his arm and pointed at the old man in black's head with his index finger covered with ice crystals. Ah! Crack! A bloody hole suddenly appeared on the head of the old man in black. Blood spurted out like an arrow. "Little Qin Zi, if you kill him, will it attract the attention of others?" Wolf King asked worriedly. "Who will care about a person who can't even get the qi-gathering pill?" Qin Feiyang picked up the old man in black and rushed toward the black abyss. When he came to the edge, he threw the old man in black directly on the iron chain bridge. The terrifying gravity crushed the old man in black in an instant. Blood dyed the iron chain red. In this way, even if someone finds out that he is dead, they will only think that he wanted to escape from the ruins. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. "When I first saw it, I was a little nervous, but I didn't expect it to be so trashy." Wolf King said contemptuously. "We can't be careless. There must be a lot of strong masters in Monarch City." Qin Feiyang took Wolf King to the castle. When they reappeared, the word ruins was added to their foreheads. It was written with ink. It couldn't be touched by water. Once it was touched by water, it would be exposed. Then the man and the wolf galloped toward the south. Several hours later, they walked for more than 10 miles. They didn't encounter any danger, but they didn't see any people either. Chapter 242. In front of him, there was a towering mountain ridge. The highest point was dozens of feet high. A man and a wolf climbed up the mountain ridge and their eyes lit up. The mountains and rivers in front of them were no longer bare. There were small grass and trees growing on them. But they were basically withered and yellow. It had withered. It was hard to find a bit of green. Such a desolate place was not suitable for humans to live in. However, at the bottom of the mountain ridge, one could clearly see that there were many small wooden houses. They were very simple and crude. There were many livestock in the mountain stream. In his line of sight, he could see many figures. There were old and young, men and women, but without exception, they were all lacking in nutrition and were as thin as a match. Moreover, they didn't have any clothes on them. They were all made of dried grass or leaves, woven into a piece of cloth. A man and a wolf felt as if they had arrived at a primitive tribe. "The people who live here are really suffering," Qin Feiyang whispered. This was the first time he had seen such an environment and condition in his life. In his heart, there was an inexplicable sadness. Wolf King was puzzled. "Didn't you say that the people in the ruins are basically from the outside? How can there be ordinary people?" Qin Feiyang said, "Since the founding of the Great Qin Empire, the ruins have existed. After so many years, a brand new civilization has already been born." Wolf King nodded and asked again, how long has the great Qin Empire existed? Qin Feiyang said, according to the ancient records, almost 10,000 years. That long? Wolf King's eyes widened in shock. It's not too long. Once a warrior steps into the War Emperor realm, they will have 500 years of life, let alone the emperor of the great Qin Empire. The strength of every emperor has already reached a realm that transcends the heavens and the earth, at this point. Qin Feiyang did not continue and walked down the mountain ridge. It wasn't because he was afraid that Lu Hong and Fatso would hear him. It was because there were too many memories that made him sad, angry, and hateful. He was afraid that once he thought of them, he would not be able to control his emotions. As they walked down the mountain, they met an old man and a child. The old man's body was bent, leaving only skin and bones. His muddy eyes were filled with despair and helplessness towards life, making him look especially miserable. Children. He was about 12 or 13 years old. He was also skinny and dirty. Children of this age were usually very lively. However, the child in front of him had a wooden expression. His eyes were empty, and there was a hint of sadness in them. How pitiful. Even the ferocious Wolf King could not help but feel pity for him. Such a place shouldn't exist. Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed coldly. If he had a choice, he would rather harden his heart and send these people away from this world than watch them live such a life of despair. The man and the wolf continued to move forward. The people they met were all in similar situations as the old man and the young man. But gradually, traces of ferocious light appeared in those empty eyes. They were like slumbering jackals that were gradually awakening. The atmosphere doesn't seem right. Wolf King scanned those people warily. Let's go. Qin Feiyang said in a low voice. Big brother, wait a moment. But at this moment, a young and unfamiliar voice came from behind him. Qin Feiyang stopped and looked back. He saw the child they met at the beginning trotting towards them. Little brother, what's the matter? Qin Feiyang asked with a smile. The child ran in front of him and looked up at him. His dirty face was full of longing. He asked, Big brother, can you give me something to eat? Qin Feiyang felt an inexplicable sadness in his heart. It was a simple sentence, but it could touch anyone's heart. As long as they were not cold-blooded animals, they would not be able to refuse this child's sincere request. Wolf King said, Little Qin Zi, didn't we kill a lot of ferocious beasts when we were training in the Swallow Pan mountain range? Why don't we give them all? Even its heart was melted by her. It could be seen how pitiful the lives of the people here were. Qin Feiyang nodded and took out his Qianquan bag. With a wave of his hand, a large pile of ferocious beasts suddenly appeared on the ground beside him. These ferocious beasts were all edible. But as soon as they saw this pile of ferocious beasts, the people in the entire village instantly went crazy and rushed over. Their eyes were full of greed. Qin Feiyang hurriedly said, Don't fight. Let's share this food equally. But at this moment, those people definitely wouldn't listen. In their eyes, there was only food. Boom! All of a sudden, Wolf King released a terrifying ferocious beast, and his eyes became extremely terrifying. In an instant, everyone lay on the ground, their bodies trembling. The child next to him was so scared that he cried. Qin Feiyang squatted on the ground, patted the child's shoulder, and said with a smile, Little brother, you are a man. You can't cry, understand? Yes. The child nodded. Maybe it was because he saw Qin Feiyang's pleasant expression that he became bolder. There was a bamboo tube hanging on his shoulder. This was used to hold water. He took out the bamboo tube, handed it to Qin Feiyang, and said with a smile, Big brother, thank you for giving us food. I'll treat you to some water. Qin Feiyang took the bamboo tube, pulled out the stopper, and put it at the tip of his nose to smell it. Suddenly, a strange smell came to his nose. This water couldn't be drunk. But the people here treated it as drinking water. Alas! Qin Feiyang secretly sighed, drank 2 mouthfuls, and returned the bamboo tube to the child. But suddenly, his body trembled slightly, and a stream of blood rushed to his throat. It's poisonous. There was a trace of disbelief in his eyes. On his body, a murderous intent permeated the air. The people here suddenly felt as if they had fallen into a world of ice and snow, and their whole body was cold. But in the end, Qin Feiyang resisted the murderous intent, got up, glanced at the crowd around, and said with a faint smile, "Everyone, don't fight. Everyone has a share of this food." The child and the old man were a little flustered. Qin Feiyang looked at the two of them, reached out and rubbed the child's head, and said with a smile, "Little brother, life is not easy, you have to cherish it." The child instinctively nodded. Qin Feiyang withdrew his arm and called out, "White-eyed wolf, let's go." Just as the man and the wolf turned around and were about to leave, the old man suddenly knelt on the ground with a plop, and said hoarsely, "Young man, I'm sorry, I poisoned the water, please kill me." "It's okay." Qin Feiyang smiled. "Thank you for your magnanimity." The old man kowtowed. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. In such a desolate place, it was impossible to make a deadly poison. In the water just now, it was just a very ordinary poison. It was enough to kill a mortal. But to a warrior, it was not a threat. The man and the wolf walked a few steps, and the old man said again, "Young man, if you want to survive safely, you'd better change your clothes." Qin Feiyang frowned and looked at the old man in confusion. "In the ruins, there are only 2 kinds of people who can wear such gorgeous clothes like you. One is the big shots in the city. The other is the people who just came to the ruins. The big shots in the city live like princes and would never come to such a poor place. So the only explanation is that you just came to the ruins. If you don't change your clothes, you will definitely encounter the same situation again." The old man said. "Thank you for your reminder." Qin Feiyang clasped his hands, and quickly left the village with Wolf King. "Not only did he give us food, he also didn't care that I poisoned him, he is a good person." The old man looked at the back of the man and wolf, his eyes full of gratitude. The others also watched Qin Feiyang and Wolf King with grateful eyes. Leaving the village, Qin Feiyang took a detoxification pill, and in a few breaths, the poison in his body was completely removed. Wolf King teased, "He actually let them go, what kind of wind is blowing today? This is not like the Qin Feiyang I know. Actually, there are some things that don't have to be solved by killing." Qin Feiyang laughed. Like just now, if he really killed people, it would only make the people in the village angrier and crazier. But if he repaid evil with good, not only would he gain the other party's respect, but he would also make those people realize their mistakes. Moreover, those people were also forced to make a living. In the past, he always thought that he was the most miserable person in the world. But now, seeing the people here, he realized that he was a relatively lucky person. At least, when he had no one to rely on, he had Uncle Yuan to accompany him. Now, he also had Wolf King, Lu Hong, and Fatso to accompany him. He was not alone. Next, Qin Feiyang found a hidden place, found the old linen clothes he wore before, and put them on. And he deliberately made them very ragged and dirty. He really couldn't do it like the people in the village, only covering himself with hay and leaves. Wolf King also deliberately made his face dirty. Right now, it didn't look like a wolf at all. It looked more like a dirty wild dog. After disguising themselves, they continued to set off, but they didn't delay their cultivation. They were refining qi gathering pills all the time, and their cultivation was advancing rapidly. Half a month later, A dilapidated ancient city entered the sight of a man and a wolf. Above the city gate, 3 words were engraved, Wohu City. The city wall was riddled with holes. The buildings in the city were also dilapidated. Coupled with the dim sky, at first glance, it looked like a gloomy ghost city. At the city gate, there was no one guarding, and it looked very deserted. Hey hey! There's a wild dog in the city. I've never eaten dog meat before. Little brother, can you sell this wild dog to me? I'll give you a body refining pill in exchange. Don't sell it to him, I'll give you a chi gathering pill in exchange. As soon as Qin Feiyang and Wolf King entered the city gate, Wolf King became the center of attention and was very popular. But this kind of welcome was somewhat ironic. People on the street surrounded it, staring at it with green eyes, and some even wiped their saliva. Even Wolf King, who was not afraid of anything, couldn't help but feel scared at this moment. These people were simply the reincarnation of hungry ghosts. Where's the wild dog? Get out of my way. A young man wearing ragged linen, surrounded by several naked strong men, arrogantly stood in front of Qin Feiyang and Wolf King. It's the young master of the Wang family. Dodge. Otherwise, the wild dog will lose its life before it can eat it. You're tuning into the Xiaofan's Wuxia Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.